学习人生智慧，提升生命能量。
你听得见吗？
禅师
APP
伴你成长。
禅师 APP 正式上线了，无论您的手机、平板电脑是安卓系统还是 iOS 系统，都可以下载、注册、登录和使用禅师 APP。丰富的资源、齐全的功能等您来。500多个精品开示和精彩直播可供观看，影片、文字、音档，
以德传家，恒久流长。
还可以下载至个人 APP 账户中，方便离线畅听。内容精彩，话题丰富，涵盖生活、
There are many different
工作、修
topics,
行等
including your life wisdom, your family relationship, your personal growth, and everything.
每日一句禅语提醒
And every day, there's also an algorithm to give us guidance.
还可统计修行时间，记录
You can also record your practice time, and there are also Grandmaster JinBodhi's energy healings and blessings. This Meditation Master App opens the door to our health and wisdom and happiness. It allows us to be a better us.
各位亲爱的网友朋友，大家好。
Hello, my dear friends.
今天呢，是我们学习《地藏经》之4。
Today is part 4 for learning Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra. Christine, I think that you have prepared a lot of questions. Christine said yes. Thank you, Grandmaster. In our last live feed, we've already read the 6th chapter of the Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra. And so there are quite a few of our online friends who have questions and would like to have more detailed explanation from you, Grandmaster. Okay, so the first question. So Buddha said, in the future, if there are kind men or women who hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name and join their palms, sing his praises, pay reverence, and feel admiration for him, they will transcend 30 eons of punishments. So 30 eons is like tens of millions of years or even more years of bad things. So this is like so wonderful. Earth Store Bodhisattva's compassion can bless us and eliminate so many years and eons of bad karma. So when we hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, now it's the most important part. If we can immediately join the palms and sing his praises and pay reverence or feel great love and admiration. So when we hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, this great admiration and reverence that we arise for him is the most important. Joy said, yeah, the reverence and respect is the most important. If you hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, if it doesn't come to our heart, if we don't have respect, then there's no effect. And in our modern world, we're actually very fortunate. All of our online friends, we actually have many opportunities to hear Earth Store Bodhisattva's name. So we'd better do what is taught in the sutra so we can actually receive the benefits. Before we learned the sutra, we didn't know. Now that we've already learned it, we should really cultivate our respect and reverence so we can really benefit. And Grandmaster said, yeah, Well, when you don't know, we don't blame you for that, but you also don't have that benefit or merit, so you cannot eliminate so much bad karmas or things. Now that you already know it, with this reverence, there's possibility of transcend 30 years of punishments. This is what Buddha said. It's like the energy. We cannot see the energy of ourselves. It's like even for a battery, we don't know how much power is still left in the battery. For a human being, how much merit, how much bad karma we cannot see with human eyes, but through time and space, it can actually prove whether we have merits or bad karmas. And Buddha is a being and a life that always helps all sentient beings, and he everything that he says we should just joyfully accept and have faith in it and do according to his teachings. Thank you, Grandmaster. And last time, Joy said, I also heard this. If there are kind men and women who paint this Bodhisattva's image or make his image with clay or stone or lacquer, gold, silver, and then reverently gaze at and pay reverence to his image, those people will be reborn 100 times in the 33 heavens and will never fall into the evil realm. So to sculpt Bodhisattva's stupas or paint his images, this is wonderful, right? But I'm not very good at painting. I really have the reverence and I really want to paint a good image, but if I paint, then maybe Buddha's Bodhisattva won't like it. So what shall I do? So Christine, what do you think? Christine said, then don't just paint randomly. So Joy said, then I don't have this opportunity of such great merits. Yeah. So if you don't paint a picture that people will naturally, pay reverence and have faith in it, then there won't be any merit. So what should we do? If we paint, and so Grandmaster said, if you paint like funny or not good, it actually is not only without merits, but also maybe has bad karma. Well, otherwise maybe you're just going to be in a ordinary place, maybe because you don't paint well, you have to go to hell. So don't paint in a bad way. So you'd rather ask somebody to paint it, or maybe you can print some image, Buddha's Bodhisattva's image, like a wonderful image. Or in some centers, they have opportunities for you to join the sculpture, building the sculpture. Or maybe already painted picture or tanka, if we purchase them to bring them home, is there a benefit? Yeah, so we'd like to be born in a good place, right? So Grandmaster said, if we want to make a sculpture, maybe we can help to just mix the clay, or well, actually, you can just make contributions to it, or a donation, because you're not very good at painting. You don't want to annoy Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. You can just pay the donation, so we can find a very skillful and good craftsman to make it or do it. And yeah, because otherwise, if you paint an image and other people, when they see this picture, they would cry. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas are not like this. And if you make it very ugly, it's actually maybe create sins. So you'd rather ask somebody, professional craftsman, to come and do it. There are some people who just have the, passion of making it. And sometimes they would, I know some people who are good at, they just like to paint they gave me a picture of the Guanyin Bodhisattva's picture. Actually, this picture is not very, I would say it's not very beautiful. I would still have to say, oh, this is a beautiful picture, because I cannot say it's not good, but I will not hang it and pay reverence to that picture. So painting Buddhas and Bodhisattvas picture, we actually have a requirement. So we probably a lot of people might not want to paint themselves. We would rather ask some skillful and professional person to paint it. And when we are introducing some tankas, especially Shakyamuni Buddha's tanka, so it was penned by Dun Zhu, who was a very experienced painter. And during the whole process, when he made the tanka, he was extremely respectful and paid reverence and praise. So maybe 2 weeks ago or a month ago, before painting the tanka, he doesn't have to be a monk, but they, like a month ago, they cannot have any, an intimate relationship. They cannot eat meat. They cannot have forced speech, and they maybe even they cannot eat after noon. And even a few days ago, they would already start to have a bath and wear clean clothes. And during the time when they are painting the tanka or the picture, at that time they don't have facial masks, but they would still cover their nose and their mouth because you don't want to draw your saliva. And we think that human beings' breath are actually not clean, and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are sacred and they are clean and pure, and so we want to keep that purity. And all those professional painters, they have had very professional trainings, and when they paint Buddha's Bodhisattva's image, they don't just paint like according to a young woman's body. And Buddha's Bodhisattva's picture, it's a beauty which is serene and sacred, and that spirit, that that kind of serenity that will naturally make everybody feel the reverence. Some pictures of some film stars, or they're pretty, but they don't make people feel respected, and they're just sometimes So building a sculpture or painting the picture, it needs to be very professional, and you don't want to make a picture which is not sacred. And so this is the answer for that. So you can also make donations for when some organizations are doing this. And another thing that is mentioned in that 6th chapter is that if there are women who despise being women and who wholeheartedly make offerings in reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image, whether the image be a painting or made of clay or stone or other things, and if they do so day after day without fail, they are very, very diligent and make offerings to him with flowers, incense, food, drink, and clothing. So they are very diligent. What does this diligence mean? And Grandmaster says, well, when you make offerings and giving and chanting, and if you go to the center or temples to help volunteer or cook, and some friends say, are they part of the practice there? If someone has the opportunity to have a practice to actually practice, that's the best. But if you don't have a practice, a specific way or practice, then you can go to the temple or the center to volunteer. And this heart of respect, of reverence, and wanting to offer, and when it goes to an extremely high extent, then everything in your perception will be different. You will also have a very compassionate and solemn state, and you would even have the power and the wisdom. Some people maybe in the morning they say, it's already morning, and they have to get up, but they're still feeling very tired. When they wash their face, they don't even have the strength or force to wash their face. Then they feel very tired. Why should you cook? But when you are cook for the center, or maybe bring food to the master, you just feel tired. What would you be when you are receiving people? If master said, you can receive some guests, you think, I'm already very tired, you still let me go and receive people. This is because you don't have that reverence. When you have that extreme reverence, you don't feel tired at all. You're just, I want to be diligently practice. I want to accumulate merits. And master, I want to have the opportunity to serve master. And there are a lot of things I want to do for the center. Every day, once this reverence and high respect is rising, and then we're like full of energy. I always have energy to do things. Anything else I can do? What else I can do? So, like, you're just rushing to do and eager to do everything. There's a very successful entrepreneur in Japan, and he said, every day I work 16 hours, and people ask, are you tired? And he never rests. And he said, I never feel tired. I never think it's a work, because this is what I like most. I enjoy doing this. I don't feel tired. I don't feel I'm like an employee. Even though I'm working, well, if you're not happy, you're not joyful, you're not having the passion or reverence, and you think, if you don't give me money, I won't walk and I won't do anything. You're treating yourself like a donkey or an animal who is like forced to work. But when you think, if I can't do it well, then how can it be? This is such a rare opportunity. When you have that extreme reverence, then all the fatigue vanish. Because before if you think, why should I work for them? And that's why some people in the United States, they think, after work, right at 6 p.m., they leave the office immediately. So some people here, maybe you would leave the center right away just from the speed you leave this company. Can already see how much you love this company, even though you are an employee, how much you love this company, how much loyalty. If you are like eager to leave this company, then you don't have any love towards this company. And let alone, facing Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Grandmaster. Actually, Master wanted to save you, so give you an opportunity. Okay, you now can do some volunteering. I know you have a heavy thing and you are seriously ill, so I give you the opportunity to volunteer. And then I said, would you like to start from cleaning? Usually people would say, yeah, of course. And then after you cleaning for a year or so, you think, those sisters who are at the reception, they seem to be more glorious. And some people would say, no, I don't want to volunteer here. And so why? And he just says, I just feel very frustrated. Do you feel frustrated when you see me? Well, you might say, I don't dare to feel frustrated when I see you, Master, but I still feel frustrated. I don't feel happy. Why? Because you don't have that reverence. You don't know when you have already had that serious illness, and you still you're still pushing the doctors away. Now the opportunity is offered to you. You're not grasping the opportunity. You're still very picky. And you are so arrogant. And you're like, oh, I have lots of money. My husband has tons of money. Oh, no. That's terrible. Then you just have to go wherever you're supposed to go. If you have to go to the incessant hell, it doesn't. You won't stop going there because you have a lot of money. Some people go there maybe very quickly. Some people they don't even have the time to volunteer. Like 3 days after they have been prescribed, they pass away. So some people, they make money in a company, and the company has very good management. And when people ask, where do you work? And you say, oh, this company. But he said, oh, this company. He doesn't like the company and just feel despised. And he would never even go to the company 1 minute earlier. He didn't even want to work 1 minute more. And if he works 1 more minute, he would always ask for additional payment. So this is like, you don't have conscious. And you think that, oh, you're deploying me because I worked more. But I think that you're not cherishing the opportunity, especially when you're receiving the opportunity. You should have that joy to receive the opportunity. When you have the respect and joy to do it. Why should you respect Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? Isn't that because you want to live longer, maybe 2 years more at least? And now that you receive the opportunity, you are still picking. You don't want to live a better life. And those people who receive the notification from the doctor and say, oh, you have cancer. And you say, oh, Master, I don't have time to volunteer. Before they know that they had cancer, they would say, no, I don't have time to volunteer. And then right after they have the cancer, they say, oh, whatever you say. And so one sister here, I already know, I can see that she has problems. She was a PhD, and I said, would you like to do this work here? And she said, oh, yeah, I like to volunteer, but I don't have time. I actually see that she has problem. And I wanted to provide the opportunity to him. And she said, oh, in the future, after I retire, I will come. But after 3 days, she came immediately. And she said, oh, Grandmaster, allow me to volunteer. And I said, aren't you busy? She said, no, I'm not busy. And so I asked her, what did the doctor say? And she said, oh, I'm at the last stage of cancer. Well, you can be busy, go working. And then she said, no, they're not important. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. And do you still have the energy to volunteer here now that the doctor already told you that you have cancer? What should I say? So Joyce and Christine say, yeah, we really need to be diligent. You know, this is like your merit. If you haven't had a lot of merit, if you have too much ego and selfishness, and when you don't have opportunity anymore, you insisted on volunteering, it's already the last stage of cancer. How much time can you still volunteer? And a lot of times we don't want to make you tired. And doctor would say, don't be tired, don't be angry, and don't lie down, don't sit. And we dare not, ask you to do anything. We cannot even touch you. And so at that time, even gods are going to be away from you. And then you come to me and say, oh, Grandmaster, oh, now I have time. And then I can only say, well, cultivate well for your future life. I hope you can go to a better health. Well, maybe that ghost king we know better, so maybe he would cut less of your fingers or pull out fewer of your teeth. Or Thank you, Grandmaster, for alerting us, warning us, and reminding us. And Joy said, there's another thing. The sutra said, if someone can play music and sing songs of praise and offer incense and flowers before this Bodhisattva's image, and who are also able to encourage others to do likewise, both now and in the future, they will be protected day and night by hundreds and thousands of ghosts and spirits. So this mentioned not only they will build merits for themselves, but also encourage others to do likewise. I think this is similar to doing the dharma offerings, right? And Grandmaster, you told us and taught us that in every offering, the dharma offering is the most supreme. Well, is this a question? Grandmaster said, I just feel this is so wonderful. So we should pay, focus on this and really emphasize on it. Well, Grandmaster said, I don't really feel this is a question. Grandmaster says, since you mentioned this, I can say a little bit about this. Well, if we don't have a practice to do, and just by doing the offering, this in itself is a practice, because Dharma, there's no fixed Dharma practice. In the Buddhist system, especially this whole practice, there are two kinds. One is mainly on meditation, mostly like the 6 perfections, which focusing on the practice in the meditation. So it's based on meditation with a lot of practice. This is a very formal Dharma practice, the 6 perfections. And the second way is based on the merits from offerings and givings. This is also a way of cultivation. If you don't have the opportunity to practice meditation, if you practice these offerings, this can also allow you to reach the same level. So in the Buddhist scriptures, we mentioned the Dragon Lord's daughter. She has actually cultivated many lives, and in this life she was very kind, and her father is the Dragon Lord, and she thought, if one day Buddha is close by here, I will definitely go and pay respect to him. And once Buddha was close by, and she brought the most precious and expensive and precious jewel from their palace to offer to Buddha. And Buddha know that this is like priceless. And Buddha proved that she immediately achieved Buddhahood, and she has the name of Buddha. And so, look, this daughter of the Dragon Lord, she didn't even do any meditation or even offer incense or flowers. And so this in Mahayana Buddhism, or the Great Vehicle Buddhism, usually people would think, oh, you want to achieve Buddhahood. Did you practice meditation? And so what level are you in the meditation? Did you go to an evil path? If you didn't, oh, well, that's good. And the highest level of meditation is Arhat, but you're still not a Buddha yet. So do you have any merits? So according to a human being's time and space to just perceive this. This is an ordinary kind of perception. But why Buddha says the Dragon Lord's daughter offered this priceless jewel and instantly achieved Buddhahood. So it has already manifested the process of achieving Buddhahood. Well, do you know how many years Grandmaster Bodhisatva practiced? From what I know, it's only like 1 or 2 years. So cultivation is different from preserving vegetables. Why should I use this analog? Well, usually you think an experienced master would have, they have experience, that's true. But in Buddha Dharma, enlightenment, it doesn't matter whether you come early or come late. If the bad karma has created obstacle for a person to be ignorant, and even if you meditate for 50 years, you cannot receive the ultimate wisdom. So if there's a formal test or exam, for some people, they have already meditated for 50 years. And then you test them, they're only like graduated from elementary school. But some people only practice 7 days. They're like high school level. And some people, maybe another person only practice for a few hours and wow, he's already PhD. So it's the merits from many lives. Maybe you haven't meditated, but you have huge merits. Maybe only after 7 hours you are already graduated PhD. This is a accumulation of all these life's merits. All these good or bad energy are following us all the time. Grandmaster Bodhisattva only maybe practiced 1 or 2 years. And he's always searching for people suffering voice and callings. Wherever he is, wherever she is, even at the corner of the sky, I will save him and save her. And with every means, every skillful means, I will save him. And that's why there are so many different forms of Grandmaster Bodhisattva. And even the Lord of Hell, and they're like an evil, ghost, but they're still a manifestation of Grandmaster because he's manifesting every single form to save all beings who are calling for help. And so even just in 7 days that you, or a very short period of time, but your heart is extremely sincere. So you two beautiful ladies, when you get married, have you thought about have you thought oh, I will marry this person after 7 years, or you just instantly decided to marry? And Joy said, yes, I made the decision immediately. Well, when you have immigration, it's like you decided to immigrate right away, and entrance exam into the university is the same. Like all these pursuits in your cultivation, it's just like these 3 seconds. This is what I pursue in this life. So you are determined, and in just these 3 seconds, you will follow this direction life after life and all the time. So these ultimate wisdom, it doesn't matter when. Oh, what am I talking? Oh, thank you, Grandmaster. So when we haven't encountered meditation kind of practice, these 3 treasures or jewels of Buddha, Sangha, and Dharma, and Sangha. And if you just make offerings to them, then their merits can help you to be reborn in heaven. And you don't need to meditate sometimes. You don't need to practice Shaolin Kung Fu, and you have to sort of practice your fingers so that you can pierce through a stone. The highest level, they actually transcend time and space. So this daughter of the Lord King, she actually pass all these stages of ordinary people's meditation and cultivation and immediately achieve Buddhahood. And we think that, these are hundreds of years, and maybe 80 years, 100 years. You see, I'm already walking very slowly. Look, this is so long. But in Buddha's eyes, a whole lifetime of a human being is just an instant. So It depends on how high our spiritual level is. What is cultivation? When we have the opportunity to make offerings to those enlightened beings, those Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the three jewels and treasures of Buddha. You don't need to find out whether this Grandmaster is enlightened. Well, to follow a master to cultivate, it will help you to at least maybe tens of millions of years in heaven, living joyfully there. If you follow me, you're probably only one step away from enlightenment, as long as you can keep following me here. Thank you, Grandmaster. Well, you trigger so many talkings of me. I don't know what I'm talking. Anyways, and so Christine said in this sutra, and if there are evil people, evil spirits, or evil ghosts who see kind men and women taking refuge in this Bodhisattva, making offerings, sing his praise, and respectfully gazing at and paying reference to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image, if they express ridicule or slander, maligning that such deeds are without merit, virtue, or merit, or laugh at these people, or utter slander behind their backs, or urge others to slander likewise, and then such evil beings will fall into and remain in the Avisi hell, undergoing extremely severe torments as a consequence for their ridiculing and slandering. So these ridiculing and slandering Earth Store Bodhisattva, how can this be so horrible, so severe? Could you, Grandmaster, explain that and teach us about this? Grandmaster said, first, let's talk about faith. We believe everything that Buddha said, because Buddha is never going to cheat us. And I've already proved it, and this is the fact. I don't think that there's any explanation needed. But why ridiculing or slandering has such heavy sin? You see, this assembly in the Trias heaven, and all these beings who came to the assembly are actually, saved and helped by Earth Store Bodhisattva. Even the Nagas and heavenly beings and ghosts, and they're all helped and saved by Earth Store Bodhisattvas. So you just imagine how powerful this Earth Store Bodhisattva's light and energy is when you slander or ridicule Earth Store Bodhisattva, and anybody who paid reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva, they're already this fortunate person has already been protected by by Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and if someone laugh at them, then the beings, the evil spirits or ghosts or people who laugh at them would have to go to hell, the Avisi hell, the terrible, the most terrible hell. Because Earth Store Bodhisattva saved immeasurable numbers of people. It's like in the infinite time and space. And even the being who laugh at them, the person who pay reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva has been saved by Earth Store Bodhisattva. If you do that, this is really, you really deserve this punishment. You have no conscience at all. And we all are Buddhists, and I have such reverence to pay respect and reverence to Earth Store Bodhisattva. And we also should tell the people around us and our family members, we should tell them, you really need to have the most sincere and respectful heart. If you don't know or just laugh at, even if you don't believe in it, at least you will be very, respectful or serious about it, and never laugh at or never ridicule. And say, for example, we could in a movie somebody who is ridiculing, laughing at a person who is paying reference to Earth Store Bodhisattva's image or a statue. And in that movie, you can see that the ghost king was actually catching your throat and maybe biting your heart and sucking your blood. And so in front of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, it's okay that you don't believe, but you can never ridicule or slander, because otherwise the calamities will arise and will arrive. And if you really be careful, because otherwise bad things will happen. Really need to respect at least. So thank you, Grandmaster. And last time in the 6th chapter, we also have some examples, like in different situations, how do we accumulate merits? Say, for example, if there are men and women who are ill and bedridden for a long time, and if they're unable to get well or die despite their wishes, and at night they dream of evil ghosts, of deceased family and relatives, what should they do? So their family members should immediately, so they should recite the sutra aloud once before the image of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. They may also make an offering of the sick person's beloved possessions. And they can also make offerings to the sutras and images to make the images of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, to construct stupas and monasteries, to light oil lamps and give gifts to the Sangha. So why should they use the offering of the sick person's beloved possessions? Well, Grandmaster says, would you rather go to the 18th level hell or give most beloved possession? Well, at this time, when you're dying, everything external is like no use, including your loved one, even your children, and all your wealth and possessions, visible or invisible, your real estate assets, nothing can help you if you're already dying. Use these belongings if you can use them so that Buddha can stop you from going to hell. You're already benefiting immensely. And another thing is that whether we're making merits for our loved ones, our family members, or for ourselves, when we make offerings, you cannot make offerings of something that you don't want. You should really offer something that you love most and you treasure most to Grandmaster and to the center and to the temple and to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That's an offering. So make offerings with the beloved ones, with the best things. And Christine said, my parents, they told me, like, you never use something that you've already used. Those are defiled. It's not clean. And so that's not respectful. And Grandmaster says, before I met someone who actually has very terrible smell from his body and from his mouth. And so I asked what illness was that, and he says he always offered Buddha with leftover food. I thought, oh my gosh, such terrible thing from offering Buddha with the leftover, which already is bad food. And, he cannot get married because he has such terrible smell all around him. And so Buddha's compassion, we learned before that there was a very poor old lady. She has only one coin because that was the only coin that she has. And Buddha was very happy and joyful. And even blessed her with infinite merits. But a normal human being in front of the great being like Buddha, and in the And a very respectful master here, the heart of offering needs to be very pure and especially respectful. Otherwise, it's also a kind of bad karma or sin. I know that some kind brothers or sisters, they think, oh, these items we don't need to use at home. Oh, maybe we don't need to use it at home, so we could just give it to the center. Maybe for environmental friendly, it's good. But now that we are educating everyone and reading this sutra, if you want to donate something to the center or to the temple, if you want to make offerings, it would be much better if you offer something most beautiful, most beloved, and so your offering heart is pure. When you donate and make offerings to the center, so this donation, don't use the word donate, use the word offer, make offering. So then with the respectful heart to make offering, then you have merits. If you think, oh, this sofa is already so old and it's old-fashioned and actually sitting there, you don't feel comfortable. And so all the good feeling about sofa is already gone. I want to replace it with a better one. And you don't have a place to put this old sofa. And if you threw it away, you need to pay even just to throw away. And you heard that, oh, maybe I heard that the center needs a sofa, so you can you just call the center to take it away. And in the future, you are actually not receiving merits from it. You will receive something not good. I'm just telling you the truth. When I offer steamed buns, say, for example, it's already rotten. You already know. Well, when you have yucky smell inside or you had cancer, nobody else knows, but you know yourself. Because when you are making offering, it's a little bit humiliating. And when you are offering, you make offering to Master. Well, I offer this food like not very fresh. I want to test if this master can know that this is good food. Well, maybe the master didn't know that this is not fresh, and maybe the master will still say, oh, this is good, this is delicious. But maybe you will have a car accident and all your family members on the car. So you will take the consequence. Would you blame Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for? Maybe your grandmaster didn't even have time to test that the food you offer is not clean, it's defiled. But the Dharma protectors will come and punish you. And all those ghost kings will peel off your skin or take up your blood. And that's all possible. We can be poor, but we cannot be irrespectful. Maybe even for the poorest person, we only have one bowl of rice. That's the only thing I have. I'm still willing to offer. That will bring us prosperity. But when you have something that you want to throw away and you offer to, you call it a donation, then this is sin, this is bad thing. And sometimes and some people are volunteering here, they say, oh, only myself alone working here. Well, actually, I'm thinking, well, you have the opportunity to do it here. It's already so good. If you are doing here, but you're complaining all the time, you're actually wasting your time volunteering here. And you see, oh, nobody is volunteering here, only me. And when you see me, you're like very arrogant. Well, on my face, I would still, leave some face free. I still say, oh, you work very hard. You have immeasurable merit. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are watching you. Why should I say that? I want to remind you, you want to come here to do good deeds. You don't want to create bad karma. Don't waste this perfect opportunity and turn it into, a time to create bad karma. So Christine said, yeah, we need to be very sincere and honest, and especially when we're making offerings. So always remember, in Buddhist temples or centers, we're never lack of volunteers or never lack of offerings. If you want to come here, make any kind of offerings or volunteering with the most sincere and respectful heart. And otherwise, you're going to have calamity. It's not that I'm not good. It's not that I want to punish you. I build this center to help all sentient beings. You come here to benefit from the light. But when you come here, you're having a fake offering heart. You use rotten food or rotten apples, and you say, oh, I bring so many fruit. And you say, oh, well, actually, the center has very fresh apples, and you use the old apples from your home to come and replace the fresh apples with your old apples. Oh, you did receive the blessed apples from the centers, but do you receive the blessings? Actually, you receive the calamities. You are actually closer to the hell. Yeah, you really need to repent if you have ever had done something wrong. We also received some questions about that. They are so regretful for having done something. Oh, Grandmaster said these days I've already received a lot of letters and emails. They said, oh, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I follow you. Why? Now I always have obstacles. Well, what did you do? Have you really helped someone with compassion these days? Have you ever come to see Master with compassion? Have you ever looked at Bodhi Meditation Center with compassion and helped anyone with compassion? No. And if not, even if you practice for 800 years, you are wasting your time. And when you want to become a disciple, you're crying and kneeling down, and I have to accept you. But where are you? When you listen to the next chapter, you will understand. It doesn't mean that you come to learn from you. You will definitely go to Pure Land. Some people will slip down to wherever realm that they're supposed to go to. All right. Thank you, Grandmaster, for explaining in such detail so that we all understand. We really need to be very careful about our words, our deeds, and we were thinking of making offerings and building merits, and we really need to have the purest and most respectful heart to do it, and we don't want to actually create bad karma when we're doing that. Thank you for Grandmaster's teachings. And also in the sutra, we also mentioned that in the future, sometimes some people, when sentient beings are dreaming or dozing, they may see ghosts, spirits, or other forms who are sad, crying, worried, sighing, fearful, or terrified. These ghosts or forms are the sentient beings' fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, or other relatives from their previous 1, 10, 100, or 1,000 lives. And they're in the evil realms and unable to leave, so they have no place from which to hope for the strength of merit to rescue them. So they plead with their family from their previous life to use skillful means, hoping that they may thereby leave the evil realms. So if you can help these living family members to personally read this sutra aloud with a resolute mind before the image of Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, request others to read it out loud 3 or 7 times. When the sutra has been read aloud for such a number of times, the relatives in the evil realms will gain liberation and will never appear in the dreams of the living family members again. So in our live stream, we have received a lot of questions dreams, and there are also some of testimonials. They did have dreams like that, especially before the Ulambana festival, especially in the lunar month of July. They said, yeah, they did dream of them. Oh, they saw their previous family members are like shivering or in the frozen river, or sometimes they see babies were like very sad and very, very sad. And so Grandmaster, you mentioned that these are your family members who have passed away. They come to your dreams to ask for help. So if you dream of them, then we need to offer lights to so that the merits can be sent to them so that they can be liberated. Now today we have already learned Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra. Now it's very clear. Yes, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas clearly indicated and told us that Earth Store Bodhisattva is using his supernormal power to help these family members. And so all of us living, what we need to do for helping those family members who already passed away, we should, with a resolute mind, read the Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra 3 or 7 times, or even ask somebody to read it out loud. And Earth Store Bodhisattva, you're just reading the sutra, and then you're saving your family members who have already fell into the evil realms. So such compassion of Earth Store Bodhisattva, reading Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra has such wonderful merits, and it's because of Bodhisattva and Buddha's great compassion. Buddha is teaching this sutra. It didn't just say that, oh, there's a hell, it's terrible. He's not making you terrified. He's telling you the way to help yourself to be liberated. Once there's human beings, there's the hell, because human beings, when they're too clever, they do good things, they're clever. When they do bad things, they're very clever. And so when they do bad things, there's the hell. So Buddha told us the way out, because Earth Store Bodhisattva helped immeasurable, like countless beings. And so if your family members appear in your dreams, and if you see that they are in a very sad or bad situation, it means that they need help. So the living family members need to build some merits for them, like reading the sutra 3 times or 7 times. If you cannot read, you can request someone to read out loud, so that the family member where you're planning to save can hear the sutra. So this is a way out. So Buddha has pointed out the way. And Joy said, yes, and another way out for helping our children. So it mentioned that when they have newborn infants, whether these newborns are boys or girls, early on in the first 7 days of their birth, the families should read and recite this inconceivable sutra and recite the Bodhisattva's name for 10,000 times on behalf of the newborns. If these newborn children, boys or girls, are due to have misfortunes as a result of their past, they will gain liberation and be well, happy, and easily raised, and their lifetime will increase. If they have been reborn by virtue of their past merit, their well-being and happiness will increase, and so will their lifetime. So there's a friend who asked, now the child has already grown up. If I read sutras and also recite Bodhisattva's name, would it still create merits? Grandmaster said yes. So it will still bring you manifest, even for people who don't have the blood relationship with you. Say, for example, your friend or a classmate, and you help them to save their lives, to liberate them. They will still be merits. And even your children grown up, there will still be merits. Those newborn infants, especially the first month and the first 100 days and the first year are the most important for that child. If you can read the sutra for that child and chant for that child, then that will bring them so much merits. That's why, a lot of people name their children with like, a stone, or maybe a spoon, or even shit, or something like, not like a human name. So they try to use a name of some not living being, like a being, something without life. Then they hope that their child's life will not be taken away by the Lord of Hell. And because raising up child is not easy, and so accumulate merits for the child is extremely important. If this child in his life, in the future, he would just get married, have another child, and have a very ordinary life, and maybe die at 50 years old or 60 years old. And if you have already seen, or maybe the fortune teller has already told the parents, and well, the parent want to get some merits for the child. At least you want him to live until 80 years, 90 years, or at least you want him to be more wealthy and maybe happier, maybe have better appearance, maybe healthier. So you always want him to have more beautiful life. And like the other, in the previous chapters, so Bright Eye's mom was reincarnated and can only live for 13 years. And you would think like, oh, how nice of it that she can, or he can live for 80 years or 70 years at least. And well, if the child's lifespan can be increased, whatever we can do, parents always want to do. Sometimes you think that the 3 or 3-year-old, you think that this 3-year-old looks very smart and very active, but after 20 years, then maybe he or she becomes like foolish, and maybe lose hearings. I actually encountered somebody, all of a sudden they had a high fever, and they say it's the high fever caused the losing of the hearing. Why they have this high fever at this time? This is just fate. This is desperately going to happen. Absolutely going. I'm not going to mention the name, like Miss Song, and his brother actually, he cannot say anything. He became like, he cannot say because he cannot hear. And when I see his younger brother, actually, it's just his life. And he's a dummy. Actually, when he was only 3 years old, his mother asked the fortune teller to tell the fortune. And the fortune teller said, this child will have very bad calamity because his previous life, he said something really evil and bad in front of Buddha. So in this life, he won't be able to say anything. He will become a dummy. And so that blind fortune teller has already told. And after a few years, this child actually became a dummy. And we had dinner together, and his eyes were like always flashing and jumping. The sister is like so beautiful and very famous film star. Everybody knows his sister, but this Miss Song's younger brother, and the sister said, "Oh, some people said because I have such beautiful appearance and I have such beautiful voice, so I got all the good fortune from the family." I said, no, it's just because of himself. In his life, he did something, previous life, he did something that he shouldn't have said. He said something really bad in the temple and slandered sanghas. So in this life, he became a dummy. that's just destined in this life. So I said, don't invite me for dinner. Even if you invite me for dinner, like many times, his life will still be like this because this is his fate. Yeah, this is like, I can only sigh for it. And so Christine said, if we don't know what to do, of course we will search far and wide and everywhere to find a way out. But if you know this now that you've learned this sutra, then instantly we learn to do the right thing, to read the sutra. More or less it will help. And so don't wait to do good deeds. Don't wait to cultivate. As long as you hear the sutra, as long as you hear Grandmaster told you that this is what is good for us, and we just do it with greatest sincerity, it will definitely help to reduce our bad karmas, reduce our calamities, and even the child has grown up, it's not a newborn infant, you can still reduce the burdens from this child, reduce his bad karma. It's like you build merits for this child, and of course this child will have less burdens. So even if these Buddhist practitioners, if you think that they're praising you, would you rather have their praise or would you rather have their curse? Or actually, my master told me, oh, look at that old man. Only in his 30s, he's already become dumb, like very foolish. And so this old man, at that time, my master was only 30 years old. And he said, in my previous lives, I tried to help this person. So remember, this time, my master is already 70 to 80 years old. And this young man is a teenager. And he said, I'm already 70, 80 years old, and can you help me to read or write a letter? And this young man said, what? I can't hear. And then my master said, you see, I can't read, I can't see. Can you help me to read and can you help me to write a letter? And this teenager said, what? I heard, but I'm stupid, I'm foolish. And then my master thought, oh no, then you'll be stupid. So that was in my master's previous life. And in this life, this old man, like even the dog's shit, he would eat it. And it was because he wanted. I know that he has problems. I was already old. I couldn't hear, I couldn't read, but I want to give him an opportunity so that he can help me to do something, so that he can be saved. But he said he cannot hear. He said he's foolish. And he was like, what? What does it mean? He pretends that he doesn't understand. And my master said, you can understand what I say? He said, yeah, I'm silly, I'm foolish. And then in this life, you don't want to fake that foolishness. And then my master said, if you're not foolish, then you Yeah, if you're not foolish, even the dog shit you will eat. And then he said, yes, I will. And so in this life, whenever he sees dog shit, he would eat. And so my master said, at that time I was like, oh my gosh, my master reincarnated. Your last life was in this temple too. And in this life, my master came to the same temple again. At that time, this old man, he like requested all of these bad fortunes. He didn't know code. He was just like, yeah. And therefore, in front of practitioners, Buddhist practitioners, if you're not foolish, you say you're foolish. If you're not crazy, you say you're crazy. A long time ago, there was a very smart person. We have a 7-seater van, and we sit 8 person. And he said, if policeman comes, he said, I'm not a human being. I said, don't say that, don't say that. But he said, yeah, everything that you say in front of me, it will become true. He forgot that it will become true. He said, I'm not a human being. And he said quite a few times because I want to help him. And he forgot. And again, we went to a lot of places to deliver teachings. And a sister said, oh, what if the policeman stops us? He said, I'm not a human being. And I said, no, don't say that. But only 6 months later, he lost his life. So, yeah. So therefore, in front of others, I don't know, but in front of my master or in front of me, whatever you say will become true. Best wishes to you all the silly things that you say in front of me. You say you're silly, you're foolish, you're crazy, they will all become true. And if you tell lies, and you said, if you tell lies, you'll go to hell. And, the way will be paved for you to go to hell. Oh, okay. Now we understand. Thank you. Thank you, Grandmaster. Okay. And another thing that we mentioned, that was mentioned in the sutra, Buddha said, actually, every month there are 10 days, the 1st, 8th, 14th, 15th, 18th, 23rd, 24th, 28th, 29th, and 30th days of the lunar month. So these, the offenses of sentient beings will be compiled, and the degrees of seriousness will be assessed. So if they're able to read this sutra aloud once in front of the images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, sages, and holy ones on these 10 observance days, there will not be disaster or calamity for 100 yojanas to the north, south, east, and west. And they will also have abundance of food and clothing. So when we read Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra, will give us so much merits. If we chant the name of Earth Store Bodhisattva, would that also bring us merits too? Grandmaster said it would be similar. Why should I make it a little vague? Whether reading the sutra or chant Bodhisattvas or Buddha's name, or their heart mantra, they all can be meritorious. But the names and the heart mantra are easier to remember, because the name and the heart mantra does not contain so many detailed information as in the sutra. So the names of Buddha's Bodhisattva and the heart mantra is different from reading the sutra, because the sutra reminds so much in details, and so it's like a guidance for all our deeds. I'll give you, like Buddhas give us the detailed ways of liberating us, but when we chant, it doesn't have all these reminders. So reading the sutra will have even greater merit. So that's my understanding. Thank you, Grandmaster. And there are many of our friends are really regretful for the wrongdoing that they have done. They're really, really repenting. They think that the incessant hell is waiting for them. The lowest hell, the 18th level hell is waiting for them. So what should we do now? So Grandmaster, could you teach us all the wrongdoing that we have already committed? What can we do now? Grandmaster, could you show us a way? So Grandmaster says in the previous sutra, Buddhas Bodhisattvas has already showed us. If you want to know the detailed way out, just listen to the next chapter, chapter 7. Benefiting the living and the deceased. So I'm going to explain directly so you can understand. At that time, Earth Store Bodhisattva Mahasattva said to the Buddha, "World-honored one, I observed that the mental stirring and thoughts of sentient beings of JinBodhi are almost always wrongdoings. When they benefit from virtuous thoughts and kind actions, they often regress from their original virtuous intentions. If they so they are back to that greed, like the 5 poisons, and greed and anger and ignorance and arrogance and doubt. If they encounter evil influences, like friends who have a bad influence on them, these people are like having a very walking in the mud and very slippery and carrying heavy rocks, and they would become more trapped and weighted down as their feet would sink deeper with each step. If this person may have accumulated some merit, say for example, they have paid reverence in front of Buddha, maybe they have ever offered an incense in front of Buddha, or maybe just one flower or one apple or one piece of date. So maybe they will meet a virtuous friend. So a virtuous friend is a friend who has compassionate heart and also have wisdom and also is willing to help you. So this is a virtuous friend. If you can have this person's help, then your burden will be lightened and even completely removed. The reason being that such a virtuous friend has great strength and great merits and great power. And furthermore, the virtuous friend will lend him support and help him and advise him to keep his steps firm and steady and out of the muddy area, and point out that once he reaches the solid ground, he should beware of the evil path and not walk on it again. So he would remind him. This is very much in detail. A lot of people, they're carrying the heavy rocks, like the spiritual sin, or from their bad sins, from their bad karma, and they're like walking in the mud and very slippery. And a lot of sentient beings, they start from very small bad wrongdoings, and then at the beginning it's like having pepper, those very spicy peppers. At the beginning they feel very, very spicy, and then they want more and more pepper. And so alcohol is the same, and bad wrongdoings are the same. The more wrongdoings, and then it becomes more and more, and then it becomes like a lot increases, and and that will
众生有
cause
这样的习性呢，在他
immeasurable
临死前
sins
呢，
and bad
这个父
karma.
母亲戚最好为他做功德、种福报，
So
以便他
before
投
they
生到
die,
好的去处。
they
所以
have
这个
such
父
so
母亲
their
人哈
parents
要
and
为他做，
their relatives should
要不
make
然的话
merits
他
for
肯
them
定
and virtues in
下到
their
下坡
behalf
去啊。
to assist them
可以
on the
在
road
他
ahead, because
可
otherwise
以为他
he
在这
will
个
fall into
佛
the
菩萨
hell.
像前来为他花钱哈，做这个
In front of the Buddha's
你看大家
image
看的那个佛菩萨
or
画像，
Bodhisattva's
尤其是
image,
比如说
you
西方
know,
三圣，
especially
画
the
像
three
这个
saints
佛菩
of
萨
the
头顶上
Western
有
Pure
哈，
Land.
有一个又像
On
如意
top
又像
of
云
the
的一
Buddhas
种
and Bodhisattvas
伞盖。
head, there's a
伞盖这个
kind
东西
of
呢，
banners
在
and
这个
canopy. It's a
这
canopy.
个经文里翻译的时候，它叫法也不一样。
And
有
in
的
the
叫翻盖
sutra, sometimes they call it
其实它
canopy.
真正的中文的名叫伞盖。比如
In
尊贵的人，或
Chinese,
是
it's
帝王
called
啊，
actually
这
banners
个
and
公主
canopy.
呀，
And
这
so
个高官
those
呐，还有圣人
emperors
哈，
or
出行
princes
的时
and
候，为
princesses
了
or
比如说
saints
遮挡
when
阳
they
光，挡风
when they
挡雨，
come out in
是吧？
order
才弄
to
成这样的，
protect
其
them
实就是
from
来，因为尊
wind
贵我
and
们
rain
去
and
护
snow,
佑他的意思
because they are
啊，
very
就是头顶上这个吉祥的东西叫
revered,
伞
and
盖。
so we
所以可
use
以
the
为他在这个
canopies
佛菩萨
to
像前呢，悬
to
挂
keep
制作
them
这个伞
away
盖，
from the rains.
哎，
And
对呀，来庄
and
严
so
佛像
you
啊，保
can
护佛像啊，或者
hang
是呢，
these
在佛前供灯
canopies to
啊，
protect
你看这
the
个多细致，
Buddha's
还在佛前
statue and
供灯哈，
Buddha's
或者
image,
是诵
or
念
you
现
can
在这
make
一个
light
啊
offerings,
地藏经，
or you can
哎，
recite this sacred
对，
sutra,
或者是直接供养佛菩萨像
or
啊。
you can make offerings in reverence
再
to
者
the
呢，
image of
这个
Buddhas
在
and
临
holy
终
ones.
人，就是有人要死嘛，在临终的人哈，
Yeah,
在临终
and
的人
those
前呢，
dying
念
person
佛
in
菩萨
front of
的
him or
这个
her,
名号，或者
you
叫
can
辟支
also
佛的
chant the
名号。
names of Buddhas,
佛菩萨
Bodhisattvas,
名号大家理
and
解哈，比如
Pratyeka
说
Buddhas in
观世
such
音
a
菩萨呀，
way,
地
like
藏王
you
菩
can
萨呀，
chant Guanyin Bodhisattva, Earth Store
阿弥陀佛
Bodhisattva,
呀，
Amitabha
药
Buddha,
师佛呀，
or
释
Medicine
迦牟
Buddha,
尼佛
or
呀，
Shakyamuni
是吧？
Buddha.
等等的这些佛
Yeah,
的名号。
so these
那辟
Buddhas
支
and
佛呢，
Bodhisattvas,
通常我们一般
Pratyeka
得不到这个
Buddha,
名字。
usually
像早期就是
we
以
don't
修禅，以修禅来觉悟的
you
这
know,
些大
in
罗
the
汉，
earlier
几乎
times,
他们获得
those
最终
ahas
的
who
证悟与成就，
reach
几乎统称
enlightenment
为
through
叫辟支佛。
meditation. So
啊，
all
但一
of
般不知
those
道这个名号，
Buddhas,
经
they are
典里
called
佛是给大家
Pratyeka
这个方
Buddha.
便啊。对，
We
但
don't
是在
usually
诵
know
念这个
their
佛菩萨
names.
名号的人呢，
And so
这个
these are,
读名字
this
一
is
定
the
要清
Pratyeka
清
Buddha
楚
is what
楚，
we call
一
them.
字一
So
句
when
要
you
很清楚
chant
啊，
the names, you
能够
need to
让这个
chant
临
very
终的人
clearly
哈
so
能听
that
得清楚。
the dying person can
因为这些
clearly
众生
hear,
所造的这个恶
because
业哈，
these
按照
sentient
这个因
beings,
果
they
规律
have
来说呢，
committed
本应该
these bad
堕入
things
到
and bad
恶道
karma.
之中去的。
According to their
因为
karma,
有
they
他的
should
亲属为他
fall to the
做
evil
这样的
realms,
慈
but
悲功
because
德，
of their
那么这
parents
些
or
恶业
relatives
就有可能
make
通通
merits
消
for
除
them,
了。
these bad
尤其是
karmas
尤
have
其
the
是
possibility
如
of
果能
fully
够在他
eliminated,
去世往
especially
生后的
if
第一
this
个
can
49
be
天以
done
内，
in the
49天以内
49
警戒
days
的这个
right
时间，
after they
能够
pass
努力的
away.
为他
Remember this
做
time,
种种的
if you
这个
can
善
try
行
to do
啊，
all
善
kinds
事
of good
啊，
deeds
就能够使
for
他永
this
远脱
person,
离恶道，
so
得
that
转
this
人生道、天道，
dying one,
享受各
they
种各
can
样的美好。
enjoy the heavenly
所以头
and
49天
joyful life in the
往生的
future.
头49天，
So
这
the
是至
first
关重要的一个
49,
大好的时
49
间。
days right after
同
he
时来
passed
说，
away or
对
she
于
passed
做功
away
德
is the
的
most
在
important
世的
time.
这个亲属来
And
说的话
for
呢，
the
也
relatives
会
and the
获得
parents who
无量
accumulate
无边
merits,
的
they
功德和
themselves,
利
the
益。
living, will also
所以
receive
我这
immeasurable
是地藏王
benefits.
菩萨在诉说哈，这段话是地
And
藏王菩萨说的，所以我地藏菩萨啊，今天在这个大会
so
上啊，对着
me,
佛陀以及
well,
天
Earth
龙
Store
八部
Bodhisattva
啊，人非
in
人
front of
等
Buddha
来
and
奉劝
also
一
all
切众
heavenly
生，
beings, Nagas
在
and
人临
others of
终
the
的时
eight
候，
divinities,
千万
humans,
不要去
non-humans, and
杀生
others. I urge the sentient beings of JinBodhi, which is Earth, to be careful when someone is nearing death. Do not kill, do not harm, do not generate evil conditions. Do not worship and offer sacrifice to ghosts and demons. Do not seek the help of monstrous creatures and spirits, because when they kill to make sacrifice to the ghosts and demons, or it actually not going to create merits. And on the contrary, they're going to increase the bad karma. It's actually adding more sinful karma and make their karmic effect more severe.
说如果这个去世的人哈，如果亡者
If in this life or in the future this deceased one have gained holiness and has the opportunity to be reborn amongst humans or heavenly beings, however, because his relative commit these evil deeds in his behalf when he's on the verge of death, then this person is considered to be involved in the evil deeds. He's obliged to dispute and delayed from being reborn in the good realm, because this dying person, is very confused. He's not very smart. He cannot have a clear mind. He doesn't have the good discernment for good or bad, and that will definitely delay him from being reborn in a good realm. So remember the first 49 days. If this person, dying person who never had even a few virtuous fruits from their lifetime, then they would undergo the evil realms in accordance with his own karma. How can the relatives want to increase their negative karma? So when they're dying, do not kill, do not harm, do not generate evil conditions. Do not make sacrifice to ghosts and demons. And in some places, they want to heal the illnesses, and so they call some relatives to come to make sacrifice. And it's like a ceremony to say goodbye to the dead person. But sometimes, in order to receive all the relatives, and especially in the countryside, like in China, mainland, and Taiwan, the same. If someone has just passed away, if you don't have good meals, their relatives does not come, so they would kill animals and cook a lot of meat to offer the meal to all the relatives who join the funeral. So the living relatives actually created bad karma for the dead, the deceased one, and actually is creating bad karma for him or her. And originally they're supposed to go to heaven, but then because of this they had to go to hell. And say, for example, so this is what Earth Store Bodhisattva is saying. If there was a person who had traveled from afar, he had been out of food for 3 days and carrying a load that weighed more than 100 pounds. It's already very heavy, right? But suddenly he came upon a neighbor who wanted him to carry a few more things, maybe 50 kilograms more, and made his burden even heavier. He would be trembling and just this is like what bad karma he had. So world-honored one. Earth Store Bodhisattva said, I see that as long as sentient beings of the earth, JinBodhi, are able to follow the teachings of Buddhas, or even just do good deeds as little as a strand of hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, or a speck of dust, they themselves will gain all the benefits. When Earth Store Bodhisattva was talking about this in the Transprimsa heaven, in the assembly, there was an elder, and this elder's name was Great Eloquence.
这位长者呢在很久很久以前哈，就已经
And this elder had long since attained complete and pure wisdom that do not born and do not cease. What does it mean? Do not born and do not cease. So this is like complete and pure arhat state. He has the exact long life as the whole universe and the world. And he has no desire and great compassion. He's like the Buddha. And in this assembly, he was not in, so he's like the Pratyeka Buddha. So in this time at the assembly, he was in the form of an elder. He's not in the form of a Buddha or Bodhisattva. And this elder joined his palm and in respect and inquired of Earth Store Bodhisattva Mahasattva, after beings of southern Jambudvipta die and their family and relatives cultivate virtues and merits for their sake, offer vegetarian meal and so forth, planting many virtuous courses, will these deceased ones gain great benefits and liberation? So Earth Store Bodhisattva replied, "Well, elder, now through the Buddha's awesome power, I will explain this in general terms for the sake of all sentient beings in the present and future. When beings in the present and future are nearing death, those who hear a Buddha, a Buddha's name, a Bodhisattva's name, or a Pratyeka Buddha's name, whether they have offenses or not, whether how much bad karma they have, when they hear a Buddha's name, a Bodhisattva's name, or Pratyeka Buddha's name, if you can have the opportunity to hear the name, then they will gain liberation regardless of whether they have offenses. Maybe in their life they have had bad karmas, but when they are nearing death, they have the opportunity of hearing a Buddha's name, a Bodhisattva's name, or Pratyeka Buddha's name, then all the sins and bad karmas will be eliminated, which means that they will be liberated and they will not suffer in the hell. And if they did not cultivate virtuous causes, but committed many offenses while they were alive, and after their death, their family and relatives try to make merits and virtues in their behalf, the deceased, if their relatives and family do good deeds and accumulate merits from it. So there's a math here. So 1/7 of the benefit will be received by the deceased. So 1/7 of the merit will be received by the dead or the deceased. The 6/7 will benefit the living relatives. Wow, this is a good deal. Say you have a family member deceased and you do merits for the deceased one. The merits, like only 1/7 of the merits can be received by the deceased, and 6/7 will be received by the living relatives. Oh wow, this is really a wonderful deal. And therefore, kind men and women in the present and future should themselves cultivate virtues and merits when they're healthy and hearing well. If you are not nearing death, if you are receiving merits, making merits, then 100% will be yours. So there's no math here. And when you are leaving this world, it's not the king of hell, the Lord of hell receiving you. You go to the heaven, you go to the Pure Land. And so normal human beings, when they pass away, if their families and relatives do it, 6/7 of the merits will be received by the living relatives. And Bodhisattva continued to say, the great ghost of impermanence can come unexpectedly at any time. That's true. You never know when you have to leave the world. And the deceased wanders in darkness, uncertain of his offenses and merits. And right after dying, the soul cannot hear, cannot see. In that 49 days after death, he cannot see, cannot hear, and he's waiting for the judgment in the Lord of Hell. And after these assessed, then according to their karmic courses, then they will be sent to different realms. And waiting for the assessment is actually a big suffering. It's just like after you have, Chinese people, they have those entrance examinations to the university, and after they have taken the exam, they are waiting anxiously for the result. And so this is similar, like they're waiting anxiously. And
那更完了，所以这个命中之人还没有转生，在这个49天以内，他一直呢。
They haven't, or he's at various authorities being examined and judged regarding his karma and his effect. Once the result is determined, he undergoes rebirth in accordance with karma. During the time of uncertainty, he's tormented by thousands of myriads of worries. How much more anguish will he be if he falls into the evil realms? And throughout the 49 days, the deceased who has not yet undergone rebirth hopes in every thought that his parents, children, and relatives will engender the strength of merit to rescue him. And sometimes he really wants to send the message. Sometimes he will do dreams, and sometimes he cannot enter the dreams, but he's still suffering. After the 49 days, he will undergo the ripened effects according to his karma. If this person is a wrongdoer, if he has done a lot of bad karma, he would pass through hundreds of thousands of years without a day of liberation. If his offenses include any of the 5 heinous crimes, he will fall into that great hell, the 5 incessant hell. Those are the most suffering and longest everlasting sufferings for thousands of myriads of eons and never ending. And so the first, you can see how important in that 49 days, the first 49 days, to create merits for this deceased one. And these sentient beings who have, after the death of such a being with wrongdoing karma, his parents, children, relatives may make vegetarian meal offerings to help him in his karmic path from the preparation of such a meal until the completion of the meal offering. Rice washings and vegetable pieces should not be wasted or thrown away. Anything that that's fallen on the ground cannot be offered to the sanghas. You think, it falls on the ground and you wash it and offer to the sangha. No, you cannot. And you cannot waste it. If this cannot be, it falls on the ground, if this cannot be offered to the sangha, you can eat it yourself or maybe feed the animals. the food that is offered to the Sangha, you can never eat it before making the offering. You cannot eat, you eat it first and then left the rest of them you offer to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, or Sangha. This is not only not going to make merits, but also create bad karmas. So before the food has been offered to the Buddha and Sangha, no one should eat it. Any negligence or breach in this matter would represent a lack of diligence and would render the work for the deceased person ineffective. If purity is diligently maintained in making the offering to the Buddha and Sangha, the deceased one will receive 1/7 of the benefit. So if you haven't been very diligently offering, then there will be not effective for the deceased person. But if you, all the utensils and the bowls, the chopsticks, the forks and spoons, and everything is very clean and very tidy, and you offer very respectfully to Buddhas, to Sanghas, and then 1/7 of the benefit will be received by the deceased one. And if the one who made the offering without respect, then the deceased one will not receive any benefit. So, sentient beings, if they are able to make vegetarian meal offerings in respect and in the deceased one's behalf with diligence, sincerity, and a resolute mind, they will benefit both the living and the deceased. So see, you do one thing and both the deceased and the living are going to benefit so much. As these words were spoken, thousands of myriads of millions of nayutas of ghosts and spirits of Jambudvipa, of the earth, who were in the Triyasrimsa heaven, have realized immeasurable bodhicitta. And then the elder, great eloquence, paid respect and withdrew. So now the 7th chapter is complete. Thank you, Greg.
你看，其实我听到就是这个1/7、6/7，这个挺感慨。我就想起来，怪不得要说，要是
Thank you, Grandmaster.
给他供灯哈
Judgement says, I'm very amazed by hearing that
要供1盏灯的话，他只能得到1/7的利益，
by hearing about 1/7 of the
都还是
benefit. And that's why when we offer lights, we need to offer 7 lights. We have to, when we offer 7 lights, they only receive the benefit from 1 light. And so whether we are offering meals or making other types of offerings, if you want our deceased relatives to receive 1 part of benefit, then we have to make 7 parts of the offering so that the deceased can receive 1 part. And that's why this chapter is called Benefiting the Living and the Deceased. Both the living and the deceased will benefit from making offerings. And that's why we have to make a lot of offerings. Master says, the Bodhisattva has reminded us that a sincere heart, a sincere mind is the most important, and our sincere behavior is also very important. Also, the meal that we cook is very clean, but our heart is not very sincere, then that's not enough. Say that if you have a sincere heart, but you only bring some bad peaches or tomatoes to offer, then that's not enough. In addition to sincere heart, you also need to have a pure and sincere behavior. To use these good foods to make offerings to the Buddha and the monastics.
对，又不是买什么山珍海
And
味，
it's
对不对？
easy. It's
所
you're
以真是
just
不错。
offering
非常
food,
好
and you
的
don't
出
have
路。
to offer very expensive food.
而且指导的很仔细。
Uli
很
says
细
it's
你普通芸
very
芸众生，这个
detailed.
在世间不知做了
Master
多少
says
坏事了，对不对？
all sentient beings have
那
done
所以你
many
到死的时候
wrongdoings
那
in
种
this
痛苦挣
world,
扎，你
and
能看
when
得出
they
来。
are about to
你那
die,
个时候你
the
作为亲人，你
sufferings
能
that they
看得出
have
来，这个世界
as
上有没
their
有鬼？
relatives,
你
then
就
you
知道
can
了。
witness
是吧？
whether there are
很多
ghosts
亲人
in
到
this
临死的
world.
时候哈，
Many
除了车祸
relatives,
咣当一撞就死了，
many
除
people,
此之外，那可
if
能
they
他看
die
见了，我们也不知道，对
if
不对？
they die
很多躺在病床上慢慢死去的人，
instantly in a
他
car
临走之
crash,
前好几
then
天就看
maybe
见
the
了谁
relatives,
谁
the
谁
people
某某神某某
behind
鬼来
beside
了。
them wouldn't see
尤其是能先
anything.
看到什
But
么呢？
if they
他过去的
are
去世的亲
they're
人
dying
都
very
来给
slowly,
他招
then
呼
they
他
will
来
be
了。
able to see
啊
these
师傅，我们有一个
spirits
弟子
and
正好
ghosts,
就是
and even
有个网
see
友
the
刚刚今天问了一
spirits
个
of
问
their
题，就是这个
past
意思的，就是说，不是有
relatives.
的时候人死的时候，
Judgement
看
says
到那
somebody
个
asked a
亲人来
question.
接他吗？但是的话，
Some people,
有
when
可
they are
能是
about
这
to
个
die,
是这
they
个就
see
是
that
是
their
鬼变
relatives are
化的
here
哈，
to
怎
receive
么
them.
能够区分
However,
呢？还是说，就
sometimes
鬼来接的时候都
it
变
is
成
said
亲
in
人
the
的样
sutra
子啊？
that it's
不一
actually the
定，不一定。
ghost
啊，
taking
但
the
我所
form
经历
of
的
their
呢，不是
relatives.
误招我，哈哈，是我
Master
所知
says
道的。这
the
个
what
像
I
这个
know
大鬼捉人走的时候呢，
is that
有
when
很多就是他
ghosts
不用
come
变化，就是
to
鬼的形象把你捉走。
take these
因为我和那
beings
个鬼王对
away
抗过，
into hell,
就是来就是捉他的，
most
那
of
也
the
不是
time
鬼
they
王
don't
嘛，
need to manifest
黑白无
into
常的
other people's form.
这
They
些
just
化身
appear
鬼。
in the form of the
他让这
ghost.
个人走，我就不让他走。就和他
Once I was
开玩
in a
笑。
standoff with these ghosts. The ghost wants to take a person away,
所以我知
and
道
I
他们的
didn't
形
want
象的
him
样
to
子。
take it away.
嗯，
So I know what these ghosts look like.
那我觉得有的你提到的也是哈，你们俩议论一下。这有
Maybe
的可能他就
The
化了
two of
妆
you can
变成点
discuss
了。
是
why
哎
would
我
some of
曾经
these
可能不
ghosts
仔
might
细，也
disguise
是看到有
themselves.
些经文讲，其实还是根
Uli
据
said,
这个
I
往
read
生
one of
者
the
的习
sutras.
气和他的那些业力
It's
所致，
it
有的时候
depends
他说是
on
鬼会换成
the
他喜
it
欢的
actually
一种形
depends
象。
on
我记
the
得我们有
the-
分享过一
the
个网
person
友
who is
他写的
dying.
那个，就
The
是说
ghost might
那个
transform
看
into a
见他
form
的小
that
狗已经往生的
that
小狗， 对，
the
然后他就
dying
跟着
person
那个
likes.
小狗走，
Judgement
结果
says
是
yes.
怎样？就
I
是得到
read
了，
I heard
是不是还
somebody
得到
say
佛菩萨
that
的启
叫回
发？
来
this
叫回来了，
person
对，他突然明白了，我
saw
的天呐，原来那个是
his
带着
favorite
他去
dog
到
who
地狱
is
的，
deceased
然后他回来了，
came
没有
to
跟着
him
走，
and
对
want
啊
him
你说
to
小
go
狗能带
with
你去
the
骗
dog.
他，对
And
不可能
then
对
he
对吧
realized
啊
所以
it
就是这
was
个网友他问的意
with
思
the
就是
help
说
of Buddha,
难
he
道如果要
realized
是
that this
看
dog
到是亲
is
人
a
来
ghost,
接，
and so he
这样
didn't
是
follow
都
the
是
ghost,
恶鬼，都是恶鬼
and
变
he
的嘛？
was
有
able
没有
to continue
不
to
是
live.
就是亲
So
人来
Jujun
接
is
的有没有
asking
好
when these
事儿？
relatives comes to pick you up,
我觉得哈，我
would
的
it
回答这个
are
参考
these
吧，
all ghosts
因
or
为
is
这
there
个去世
good
的这
things
个人已经
happening?
去世了哈。
Master
这
says
个来
when
接
this
他的这
person
个
has already died,
也就是他必须要死的，必须要走的啊。
that he must
通常
he's
他
on
没
the
有
way
能
of
量来对
death
抗
and he cannot
这个鬼来捉他
return.
的时候，没有能量
When the
对抗，
ghost is here
接你走
to
就是走，
take him
就是
away,
阎王让你三更死啊，
he doesn't have any
谁
power
敢留人
to
到五
stand
更呢？
to have a standoff
来
with
替
the
他干
ghost.
活的这些
If
小鬼
the
哈，
if King
哪
Yama
敢
wants
迟疑
you
啊？
to leave
他
at
迟疑之后，
3
立刻给投入地狱，他就开始
a.m.,
被
then
刑罚，
nobody can
他就受制
um,
裁的。所以来捉
wait
人
until
的小
5
鬼
a.m.
不敢停留的，啊。
And
所
so
以
the
有的
ghosts
时候
that
他也
come,
是为了
they
工作
don't
方便，是吧？
they don't dare
他
to
觉得
stay
哎，你
out
不是喜欢你们
longer.
家小狗吗？
And so sometimes
我
these
变成你
ghosts
小狗，
might want to make
或者
their
带你们
jobs
小狗
easier.
那个灵魂来
Hey,
了，你
say
跟他
that
走
you
吧。
like
其实一
your
块儿下
dog,
的是地狱，
then maybe they will
是吧？
manifest
还
in
是
the
说你
form
比较
of
喜
your
欢
dog.
你哥，
Say that you
那个样
like your
他变成你
older
哥的样
elder
子，
brother,
或者你爷
and and the ghost will manifest in the form of your older brother or your grandpa, so that it's easier for the ghosts to do their jobs. It's easier to seduce you to go with them. And when you wake up, it's already hell. You can't regret anymore. So it's easier than if the ghosts were trying to put you into cuffs and drag you away. But when you understand it, you want to break free. And what are some of the instances where you can stay and not walk away? For example, when there are people who are chanting, say that your son can come back in a day or 2 days or a week, and then you want to wait for your son before you die. And we have done this before. The longest we did was 2 weeks. And at that time, it was difficult to buy plane tickets to come back from overseas. And so this dying person was able to wait for 2 weeks. And when his son came back, he talked for 1 sentence and then died. So at that time, I was living in the same village as this person. And I know his circumstance, so I was able to talk to King Yama and let him know that this person will definitely die and will not live on this world. It's okay to wait for him, to give him another 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, he died. He let out the last breath, and then his heart stopped beating and his eyes closed. He left this world in satisfaction. Judgement says this is already a very good circumstance. Some people have regret and cannot close their eyes. They regret that they hate themselves for living such a short life, for how they didn't do something right. And that's why they will die with their eyes open. And as family relatives of such people, then we need to make a lot of merits on their behalf. We need to understand why this elder died with his eyes open, and we have to be good descendants so that these elders don't come back to personally take you away. Sometimes, under these elders' request, King Yama might send ghosts early to take the descendants' life. Uli says, when a person is about to die, there are some critical times that as relatives we can help this dying person, to help him make more merit so that they can end up in a better place. And these are all the dying person's savings, these merits and virtues. Master says, I didn't really understand. I didn't really answer your question. When a person is about to die, his consciousness is not very conscious. He cannot see, cannot hear, and cannot think. His consciousness is all wrapped up. It's as if a battery is out of power, and they cannot send or receive any signals. And that's why they cannot distinguish anything between bad or good. And everything is dependent on the merits at this time. And that's why whether it's he did merits for himself or his relatives lighting candles for him at that time. And when a light is offered, that light illuminates his world, his consciousness, and he knows whether the being that came to him to take him away is his relatives or his ghost. And then he can make a choice. Master says this choice isn't very important because in the end, you will be judged by King Yama. The person who takes you away, whether they take the form of a ghost or someone you like, it actually doesn't matter, because at a split second, when they take you away, it's not determined whether you will go to hell or heaven. You need to line up and be judged. Judgement says, yes, and that's why within these 49 days, the living relatives still can make merits for him so that the final decision can be changed, can be for the better. Master says, yes, so you can light candles, you can make offerings with things you like, make offerings to the Buddha, Bodhisattva monastics, and also to build monasteries and temples. So Uli says, then it's very important for the living relatives to understand what is happening. Otherwise, it's just like the sutra says, the dying person person who is in the darkness is really wishing for the relative's help. And at that time, then we know who truly loves this person who helps him at this time. Master says in this darkness, it's really like that lost traveler who is carrying very heavy burden and lost on the path. Judgement says if the living relatives do kind deeds, then they are taking the burden off this lost traveler. But if they are doing bad things, then they are just adding heavy burden onto the died person. Master says, for example, when your father just passed away, but the siblings starts to fight with each other and argue, at that time, then even King Yama will be very angry. If King Yama is angry, then you will not be very fortunate. If these siblings, especially they are fighting in the funeral house, saying that the assets were not distributed fairly. I was very filial to you, but you only give me so little. And that person didn't do anything, but you left so much for him. If they fight and argue with each other, it's very unfortunate. It may even cause your died relative fall into the hell. If you are not making any merits and you fight and argue with each other, it's going to create a lot of trouble. Then beside, at that time, the beings that manifest in that funeral house, there's no kind spirits, they're all ghosts. If even the ghosts dislike you and hate you, then there won't be any good fortunate things happening. Bodhi said that we all know that before we die, we have to leave a will. And also you have to write down and remind your relatives what things not to do and what merits to make, to offer lights to you and not to kill and not to have any meat and to make offerings with my assets. Master says these will arrangements, the legal wills, we've seen the process a few years ago, how one of the wealthiest person in Taiwan, when he died, his children, his spouses fought with each other. They could have even sent assassins to kill the other siblings. And they also spent money to find writers to write outrageous things about their siblings. And also, they completely defied that person's wealth. They disobeyed their father's will. And they don't know what the consequences, and they just fought with each other. In the end, they will not have a kind result. And so, in the end of one's life, why do we take the dying person's beloved things and assets to make these merits? Between going to hell or heaven, and compare that to money and wealth, which one is more important? Judgement says it's more important to go to hell. Master says yes. If you fall into hell, you will spend thousands of aeons in there. If Earth explodes for 500 times, you won't have been released from that hell, especially from the hell of the incessant sufferings. At that time, we know that wealth doesn't matter anymore. In the future, when your life reborns again, which direction are you going? when we make offerings with this dying person's most beloved things and assets, then this dying person can receive 1/7 of the merits and benefits. But it's enough to save them, to release them. Judgement says if you don't do it at all, then he cannot even receive one part of the merit or benefits. Bodhi says the living relatives, in addition to making these offerings, they also need to be singing praises so that you can have kind connections, and you have to be grateful to that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas received your offerings. But some unfilial children might say that even if my father falls into hell, what does it matter with us? It's a connection. It's the connection of the roots and the tree. If your father is in hell, then the children won't live a good life. And also, more specific retributions. When you are doing a business, you might always be cheated. When you are in a relationship, you might always be cheated. You might even have food poisoning. You cannot eat anything and you cannot do anything. And that might be the end result. No matter what you wish for, you don't get it. You don't receive what you wish for. Judgement says somebody asked a question. When the ghosts come to pick you up after death, when we talked about the Western Pure Land, if you have merits, if you have accumulated merits, then Buddhas and Bodhisattvas come to pick you up. And Master has said before that the dying person can see the Buddha and Bodhisattvas in front of them to pick you up. And people are asking, if Buddha and Bodhisattvas comes to pick you up, would you still undergo the judgment? Master says, no, you wouldn't, because Buddha is more supreme than the ghost kings, and the Buddha has transcended the 6 realms of samsara. And say that if the Buddhas control the 6 realms, but they don't destruct it, and so Buddhas can take someone from the 6 samsaras. Judgement says we all wish for such a virtuous ending. Master says, when we really have made these merits and virtues, whether you see Buddhas and Bodhisattvas or not, you wouldn't end up in an evil place. And people who learn Buddha Dharma with me, if you haven't committed the 5 heinous crimes, and you have not slandered Buddha Dharma or Grandmaster JinBodhi, then you will definitely see Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to pick you up at the end of your days, and it's definite. And they will pick you up and send you to either the Western Pure Land or the Eastern Pure Land. And in the future, we will talk about the Eastern, the more magnificent, holy aspects of the Eastern Pure Land. If you can go to the Western or Eastern Pure Land, then you can go to any Buddha land, and you can be there in an instant. And when you arrive there, you will have a noble status. Someone asked that if my relatives is leaving, if they are dying, should my relatives hold some Dharma items from Bodhi, and would it give them a bigger chance of going to good places? Master says, let me make a vow. No matter what you are wearing, whether it is a strand of silk fiber, if it came from my hands, if a small Dharma item, as small as a grain of rice, as long as it comes from Bodhi Dharma, you will not fall into hell, and it will stop all the damage and destructions from the ghosts or evil spirits. The power of my vow is not very small. I think it's comparable to Earth Store Bodhisattvas power. And so when you are leaving this world, if you can wear these dharma items that was blessed by me, and many people, when they die, they choose to be cremated. And even during cremation, you can cremate these dharma items, and then you can bring these dharma items into the other world. Then whoever sees it, even if it's ghosts, they will be respectful of it. And Bodhi says somebody, some Dharma sister I know that when they pass away, he requested to wear Bodhi meditation clothing, and she told her children that purchase a new set of tracksuits, and I want to wear that tracksuit when I pass away. People have asked me this question even over 10 years ago, but at that time I answered their question more humbly. But today, no matter which dharma items that you are wearing, all the heavenly protectors, all the local deities will protect you from the ghosts and demons. Bodhi says there are some more questions, and I want to understand the sutra more in more detail. In the sutra, at the beginning of this chapter, Earth Store Bodhisattva asked, World Owner One, I see that the mental stirrings of thoughts of sentient beings of Jambudvipa are almost always wrongdoings. Master, could you explain more about this? How come we are so sad on earth that all the mental stirrings and thoughts are almost always wrongdoings? Master says, not all of our thoughts are wrongdoings. Some people say that in the sutra it actually uses the word ju, which means arising, and means that you are thinking and you are making a judgment. When do you think and ponder when there is a big opportunity, whether it's a chance to cheat others, to make offerings, or first it's a crossroad on your life. And when there is an opportunity, when our consciousness is making a judgment, is making a decision, and this is the mental stirrings and thoughts that we're talking about. It's not every single thought that you have. A lot of our daily activities don't have, it's not kind or evil. In this verse, it's referring to these big opportunities. It is a highly conscious decision. It's a critical issue. For ordinary beings who has not learned Buddha Dharma, or people who don't have Buddha Dharma in their mind, when they ponder, when they think, when they have these thoughts, it creates karma. Why? Because most of their thoughts are selfish. Many people write to me and say that, Master, please protect me so that I do well in the stock market, so that my solicitation business sells well. If you're selling something that people don't need it, then why do people have to buy it? And you are taking their money to fulfill your selfish desires and brings other people harm. Especially if you watch ancient Chinese royal dramas, for example, Yanxi, or about Zhenhuan, these beautiful ladies, consorts, they compete with each other, and they are very mean and evil. They try to compete for the emperor's attention and love so that they can obtain noble status and power. If they are defeated, then they might be jailed in one of the palaces and might even end up dying. And say that if none of the lady consorts have given birth, and if she is the only one who has given birth to a prince, then her status becomes more noble. The emperor might despise the other lady consorts that they haven't given birth. This is a competition of power. And so, in the drama about Kangxi Emperor, I actually watched the entire series. I put some self-cultivation aside and watched that series to relieve some pressure. I kind of watched one episode in 3 days. And in that drama, there is somebody, there's a lady whose name is Sumalagu. She used to be, so the emperor's grandmother assigned Sumalagu to be the emperor, to be one of the emperor's consorts. And the emperor's grandma thought that you have been serving the emperor so well for so many years, so you can become the emperor, one of emperor's consorts. But Sumalagu denied the emperor's grandma's kindness and said that I don't want to marry into the royal family. I'd rather go to the monastery and become a nun. I think this is actually a very good way out. And in the end, because of her self-cultivation and chanting, she actually helped Kangxi Emperor and saved his life many times. Kangxi Emperor was infected by smallpox when he was young, and Sumalagu helped him to go through this process. And Sumalagu was a very smart and wise lady. She has seen through everything about the royal palace. Also, it's it's a noble place, but it's difficult to live in, and she'd rather not become jealous or harmful to other people. And she just wants to love the emperor in her own way. And it reminds me, so I was reminded of this, I remember this scene in this human world. When your own selfish desire can be fulfilled, then other people must have been hurt. Say that you bought some stock with $1. Judgement, how much would you sell that stock for? Judgement said $1.20 or $1.50. Master said, but most people want to sell it for $15. Judgement says, I don't think there will be such a big opportunity. Master says, you're very smart and wise, and that's why your name is Judgement, the great Judgement. Why do most people cannot earn any money from the stock market? Because they all want to find the big, huge opportunity. And they don't want to take the smaller opportunities. I actually tried the stock market myself. I want to see what people feel. Why do they spend so much time into it? And they don't even sleep. They look at the stock markets up and downs. And so I put in some money. And because I wanted to try it, so say that I borrowed 300,000 to put in
结果一个人在
the
不该卖的时候
stock
一激动，
market.
咣卖了，
And half a
最后
month
赚了7
later,
万
I
啊，
was
就是
I
这样。
made
所以他，但是我们
150,000.
讲到
But
你
somebody
赚了钱，
sold it
买
at
进
the
来的人，比如说
wrong
你
time,
1块钱
and
买进
in
来
the end
，2
we
块钱卖
ended
出去，
up with 70,000.
当
Say
买到的
that
人又回到
if
原点，
you
又变成
spend
1块钱的，
$1
那不就亏了嘛？那个时候卖
to
的话，
buy it,
对不
and
对？
then you
所以有
sell it
人
at
笑就会有人
$2.
哭。
Then there must have
有
been
很多时
people
候
who
是
have
这样
sold
的。
it at
就是你挣
$1.
的钱就是
So
别人赔的
in
那
the
个
stock
对
market,
还
there
有
are
这个嫉
always
妒心哈
people，who are
不是你想
crying
不想生
at the
气，
same time
就
that
是尤
people
其
are
你认识
smiling.
的，还有你邻居的，一好了之后，
And
你要就
sometimes
开始就不行了，就犯病了，是吧？尤其你同学，
say that
说
if
太小
the
的考
people
试那么
around
差，
you, your
人女人
neighbors
来
or
说，
your
说那姑娘长那
classmates
么丑，
are
考试成绩又很
making
差，
a
对不
benefit
对？
for themselves,
他找那
then
个
you
对象
might
又很
start to
烂，
get jealous
那怎么
or
之后他
angry.
突然变成一个富人
Say
了呢？
this person
我
was
看到他
bad
之后
in
开
this
的
way
是
and that way.
德国
How
车，
did
提
he
的是
become
名
a
牌包，
wealthy man?
是不是
How
啊？
can he drive a
还一脸
German
洋洋
car
得意的
and
样子，真是
hold
气死老娘了。很多女人就看着同
a
学这样子的
brand
时候都受不
brand
了，
name
都想
handbag?
把他给杀了，
Many
对
women
不对？
they
就
will
立刻
start
打
to
打听
become
哪里有卖
jealous
枪
or
的，
angry.
找不着
They
卖
might
枪
even
的，哪
ask
里有卖毒药的，
for
是
where
吧？
I can buy
钢丝绳也
poison
可以
or
啊，是
a
吧？
gun,
都
right?
开始要吓人的招儿开始出来了，
They want
这
to
心中的杀人之心就有了。
their heart.
尤其是你的最
They
熟悉的
start to
人，
have
同学和
killing
邻
in
居。
their heart,
还
especially
有一
the
种
people
两
that
种
you're
必须要去
familiar
打
with,
的，
your
就是妯娌，
neighbors or classmates,
就是
and also the in-laws
兄弟
almost always
兄
fight.
弟娶的媳妇儿们，
The
那个对比又逃不了，还
the
非得对比。
daughter-in-laws
一说
between
哇，
siblings,
他这个
they
车买
always
的多，比我的
compare
车多贵
each
了
other.
1000。哎，他嫂子开始不行，我一定要买一个比
This
他贵5000的，
this brother-in
啊，
sister-in-law's
要不然的话
husband,
开始失眠。
this brother
说我不是
bought
真
a
生气啊
car，
我真睡
for
不着，好吗，老公？你看
$1,000
这怎么
more.
回事儿？
Then the
谁
sister-in-law
医
will
生不急死
become
医生啊？
more
这为什么
jealous
世界上那么多失眠的
and
呢？全
say
红
that
眼病嘛。
husband, I
都是因
can't
为底
sleep
薪对
tonight
面造恶
because your
对
brother
最后
bought
发
a
现
more
自己病倒了
expensive
之后，
car.
不红眼病了之后，就
And
习惯睡不着了呀。啊，
And
想睡也睡
then
不着，
they
对
get
不对？
illness and
所以
they
很多人这个心比较
have
大、嫉妒心
insomnia,
少
and
的
even
人，
when they want
吃
to
的
sleep,
胖乎
they
乎的，一
cannot
躺
sleep.
像猪一样，呼噜呼
And
噜睡
people
觉。
who
这种人
have
他嫉妒心
a
就是
broad
少。
heart,
你看那些
they're
瘦子们，嫉妒
usually
心都比较重的，
they're usually
是
the
不是啊？就
ones
睡不着，
who
老娘就是睡
are
不
a
着。
little bit
一
bigger
顿
and
饭
they
吃
can
一口
sleep
猪也
at
发
any
不了胖
time.
因
They
为
can eat
全
at
在
any
嫉妒
time.
心中把
And
能量
people
消耗
who
掉。
are very
对呀，
thin,
所以想
sometimes
减
they
肥多
are
一点
more
嫉妒就
jealous
可以减
because
减肥的。
they don't have the
今天觉
appetite
得
for
一身肉
eating
好
or
珍贵哦
sleeping.
特别好。
Uli says
像
that
你
I
们俩都热
realized
乎乎
that
的人，确实心大哈。
the weight I have is very
说我问一个网
precious.
友一个好玩的问题啊，
Now, online friend
反
asked
正
a
就大
very
家听了
interesting
今天
question.
讲的这个都很关心自己的事儿哈。
哦，
切身利益。
对，有一个这个叫风修
His name
风修
is
赖呀啊，
风
网友他
修
问他
赖
请问师傅，阴
Master,
间也跟着我们现在社会变得科技化了吗？
would the
曾经我已故
underworld,
的叔
the
叔哈，他
hell
往生前一个
become
星期
more
在医院 ICU，然后
technologically
回光返照，突然
advanced
醒来
as
之
the
后
world
告诉我们
above?
他被绑架。绑架他的人
My
是坐
uncle
着那个
was
日
in
本
ICU
日
for
产
a
尼
long
桑车
time,
来
and
的，
when he finally woke up, he
是不
said
是那
that
种幻化出来的？
he
那
was
是幻化
kidnapped,。
他
and
不是说地
the
狱也现
person
代
who
化了
kidnapped
啊，
him
地狱不用研发
was
这些武
driving
器和工具。
the newest Nissan car.
啊，
And Master says
说
that
到
this
这
is
个
a
呢，我就想起
delusion,
来，
or this is
台
a
湾一个黑社会老
manifestation.
大哈，在
And
台南一
it
个黑社会老
reminds
大
me
被一个人给打
that
死了，
there
被
is
另外一个
a
帮派人打死。
gang
打死
leader
出
that
殡的
was
时候啊，就
killed
登报了。我我
in
坐飞机的时候在看
Taiwan,
这个这种
and
快乐的
during
这个
his
新闻报道
funeral,
哈。结果
his
呢，
funeral was reported
说这个
on,
黑社会老
on
大
major
最喜欢的
newspapers.
东西是什么呢？是
And
AK
they said that the
47步枪。结果呢，
the
他们
gang
又登报的原因是
leader's
什么呢？说竟
most
然做的
precious
这个纸的
asset
这个
is the
枪和真的
AK-47
AK-4的
gun,
枪放在一起，
and
连卖枪的老板都 分不清。
news reported it
除非拿
because
起来一点纸的就清很
people
多，对
has
不对？
made
放那拍照的时候和真枪一模一样。
with
AK
paper that looks
榴弹炮
exactly the same
就
as a
差着
real
做那个
thing.
火箭。
And only when you pick it up,
对，
you
再就是
realize
法拉
that
利
the
跑
weight
车
is
都是纸
different.
做的。
And they also made
再到阴
Ferrari
间真正开嘛，到那儿
race
开不了。
cars
所以当他
made
那
of
个
paper.
在处于迷
Would
糊状
the
态的时
gang
候
leader really
是一种幻
able
化的
to
景象，
drive
让他
these
熟悉是
in
那个
hell?
样子的。
No.
比如说
But
你那个
when
往
they are
生
in a
的，比如
coma,
说
they just have
长
these
辈哈，不管父亲母亲是谁的，
delusions.
走的时候穿西装哈，有可能你看他穿西装，甚至穿的现在流行的一种衫儿来的，
say that if your parents has already passed away wearing suits, and when you see them come back to visit you, you might see them wearing suits too. So are they wearing suits in hell? Maybe not. And sometimes these different forms and different manifestations, the information that you receive include their expression, their hairstyle, the color and style of clothing that they're wearing. They use these forms, these appearances to transmit the message that they want you to receive. And if you see a happy face, then you know that they are not suffering in hell. Master, there's another question. Previously, we talked about dreaming of deceased relatives that are suffering. But what if we dream of deceased relatives that are living, that are very normal, as if they are still alive? And somebody say that their mom, they dreamed of their mom and say that, oh, I'm about to moving into a bigger palace. Master says, depending on the details of the dream, then it means difference. Say that in this dream, her mom is moving into a palace. Does an ordinary person lives in the palace? Congratulations! It means that your mom has is moving into the heavens. And say that if in the dream you dream of them in ordinary day life, you have to remember, recall what is the environment in that dream. Sometimes it doesn't mean anything because you have been living with that person for so long, and because you dream of an ordinary living day, then it could mean that this person has been reborn into the human realm. But if you see that this person is very sad and suffering, then you have to make merits for them. And so with different settings in the dream, then the message is different. Jinhu Jing says, if there are several siblings, and if we want to make merits for our deceased parents, then should all the siblings make it together so that the parents can receive it? Master says, no, each sibling can make their own offerings in behalf of their parents. What if the siblings, some of the siblings are not filial? Whoever is filial can make them offerings and receive 6/7 of the benefits. If some siblings are unfilial and doesn't make the offering, doesn't make offerings, then they won't receive the benefits, and they might end up in hell. Master, so at the beginning we said that the mental stirrings and thoughts are almost always wrongdoings. So Master has already explained this, but some people might say that sometimes I might have a wrongdoing thought that arises, but I have not put it into action. Does it count as a karmic wrongdoing? Master says it does. Say that if you do it, if you put it into action, then you might gain 10 points. But if you didn't put it into action, you might gain 1 point. But how should you eliminate that point? You should repent. Repent that you shouldn't have done that, and you shouldn't thought about it. And in addition, you have to praise the other person. Don't say that, oh, sorry, I wanted to kill you. You have to use positive deeds, kind deeds to repent for those thoughts of wrongdoing. Thank you, Master. That really helps a lot of people. Master says, especially many women, they have killed many people in their hearts, and so repent in your heart. Judgement wants to share something. Jinhao says, previously I have dreamed of my uncle. He has very long hair lying on the bed, and there are flies flying around him. And after offering light at the center for several times, I don't see him like that anymore. Master says, that's right. Imagine if... What does it mean if that person is lying on the bed with flies around him? It means that he's suffering in hell. Maybe it's a hell of excrement. And after you make offerings, this scene doesn't show up anymore, or you see happy scenes, then it means that it has all changed. Some people don't believe it, then you can try it. If you chant, then you don't feel being jailed on the bed and cannot move anymore. Qingqing says, I dreamed of my deceased mother in the dream, and she died in the dream twice in... Then what does it mean? Master says it means that your mother has reborn. When the ghost reborn, then she is reborn to a different place. The first time she is your relative, right? And after she dies, she becomes a ghost. And the ghost dies, and she reborns into another being. And so when you dream of, if you dream of your living relative die, that means that that living relative will live for a long life. And if you dream of the deceased relative die again, that means that they have reborn.
师父，那继续提问哈。那在这个经里面，
In
都是我提问，然后师姐就开始讲网友们的分享。
好的，可以。
然后我的提问就是说，那
My question
不是经文里也讲了，就是
in the
千万
sutra,
就是不要落到就是有
it says
恶
that
就是对你没有，就是刚刚做了一点点善事，
when you have
这
just
个
done
还
some
没有积累
virtuous
深呢，
deeds,
就有点退转心了。
you
可是呢，
might
如果
start
身
to
边有一些
regress already.
坏朋友
However,
一
if you
挑唆
have
你
bad
然后你就会
influences,
顺着他们
when
就过去
they
了。经文里还讲到这样的一种现象
influence you, then you
那
start
我
to
也是
do
想
wrong
到就是
things.
也是
And
想请师傅
so I
再给我
want to
们
ask
更
Master,
深入的
can
能
you
够
give us
能够开示
more
一下，讲解一
teachings
下
about
一
more
个是怎么样
explanations
能够防
about
防
how
止
to
啦，就是
prevent
这些坏朋
how
友
to
在我们
prevent
身边
these
的
bad
出现。好，一个
bad
是怎么样能够
influences
防
from
止这种坏
showing
朋友
up
出现
around
还有
us.
真的是
And
因为
also,
这种情形发生了以后，
if it
还有没有
has
什么
already
办法能
happened,
够让我们
is
从
there
这
any
种
way
不
that
好的朋
we
友的这种
can
环境环抱中能够抽离
we
出
can
来？
escape from this bad
我是
environment?
觉得先是说
Master
要
says,
避免交
first,
往坏朋
we
友。
have to
你
avoid
就是交
making
朋
bad
友的时
friends.
候哈，
When
其
you
实
are making
其实包
friends,
括自己的兄弟姐妹
actually even
或者
between
是
your siblings
挺好的一些亲戚的
and
成员。
also your family relatives,
因为他的精神世界之中的
because
某种
their
倾向和追求，
psychological
你也许知
world
道，
is
也许
different
有时候
because of
不知
their
道。
desires.
当
You
成
might
为
know
成
of
年之
it,
后，
and you might not be
也许不
aware
知
of
道。
it.
就像当年我们在中国
For
像看一些
example,
电影啊，比如说
many years ago in China, we watched
一
a
家，比
movie
如说兄弟两个，
say that in a
一个
family
参
there
加的
are
共产
two
党，一个参加
siblings.
国民党，对不对？
One brother
还说一
joined
个喜
the
欢吃
Communist
荤，一个喜
Party,
欢吃
and
素
the。other
你这个
joined
东西
the
虽然亲兄弟，他的选
Womin
择就是
Party.
不一样，
And one
他的胃
person
口
was a
也不一样，
vegetarian, and the
他
other
的审美
wasn't.
也不一样。
Although
你
they
穿白衬
are
衣，我穿黑
siblings,
衬衣，
their
连审
habits
美
are
都是相
different,
反的，
and
对不对？
what they
所以
like
就是包
is
括自己
different
的亲
too.
戚朋友，
And so
啊
even
包括尤其是朋
including
友，
your
就是
families,
非亲
your
属类的这
relatives,
个
your
所谓的
friends,
好朋友，你在交往之中，其实
when
你
you
还是要有一
are
点这个
socializing
判断
with
的
them,
思考。
you have to
因为很多
have
人是
you have to be
很多
thinking
人
and judging
走向罪恶的行为，或者落入罪恶的
because
深渊上当，
many
甚
people
至引起死亡，或者引起家破人亡、倾家荡产，
because
都是
these
遇上
bad
像过去
influences,
香
bad
港电影中
friends
叫做
cause
损友，
someone
叫
to
信
lose their
友啊，
home, their
信友就是
assets.
特别差劲的，
It's these
混
bad
蛋的朋友。
influences.
这些就是恶狼进门呐。
They are like
哎，
wolves,
那么很多这种损友是把
and
这个
these
人给
bad
害死，
influences will harm you even
尤其是
until
一些恶行哈，
even into
偷东
this.
西、偷盗、
For example,
吸
stealing,
毒、
doing drugs,
什么嫖娼、卖淫、
or
贪污等等，很多
or
恶习都是
cheating,
朋
taking
友
money.
带着去做的。
These bad influences
有很多时候
are
这没事
are
儿，
brought
就是玩一
on
玩嘛。你
by
太你
bad
太
friends.
当真
Some
了。
people might
说
say
你看
that
你
just
这么
try
年
it
轻，你
out.
那么
We're
老
just
土，
trying
是不是啊？
having
就
fun.
吸这两
You're
口，这
young,
你以为真
just
是
try
毒
to
品呢，
smoke.
对吧？
Take 2 smokes.
要赌
You
博吧？
really think it's
咱
drug?
们打个牌，赌的是
We're
花生
just
米，
playing
这难道
poker.
叫赌博
It's
吗？
just
你看，
and we are
你这一点儿也
using
不识相。
peanuts
你这样的话都
as
不能和朋友们聚到一起啊，
as
说你连朋友都没有，对不对？
as
我
bets.
教你
And
打个
it's
牌，
nothing.
你说我这是赌博，
If
对吧？
I'm
你也
just
太
teaching
不
you
够
how
意
to
思，
play
不够朋
poker
友。
and you think
说你
it's
傻呀，
gambling,
等
are
等
you
很多种
stupid?
语
You're
言
not
哈
like a
和
friend
圈套
anymore.
会把
They
一些
use
年轻
these
人没有定力的
languages
人哈，
and
会圈到
traps to
那个
trap
陷阱之
these
中，
young
去
people
做那些不该做的事情。
to do
很多人是
things
这
that
样
they
被害
shouldn't
死的。
do. And many people
我
fall
认识
into
的一
that
对兄
trap
弟
and
当中是
fall
哥哥
end up
把弟弟的1亿
dying.
万家产
I
1 年
know
之
one
内全部
sibling,
清空了。
the elder brother
但
spent
是这哥哥，我说的
wasted
这
the
位哥哥
younger
还不是害的
brother's
弟弟啊，
billions dollars of asset in
他本来
1
就是有
year.
钱人，他结果做的是大走私，就超级走私，
The
最后弄得倾家荡产。
出了个馊主意，
对
把一家家业全送掉了。
对呀，
the
说咱
elder
们这钱比上世界首富，我们根本
brother
是吧，连小
give
二都不是。
the younger
对不对？
brother
所以咱们
an
想暴富
idea
的
of
快，留住这个
business,
资产
and
干
that
嘛？
is to
放在银行利息
smuggle.
那么点，甚至有时候银行
And
都没有利息，
when
对不对？
they got into
咱们去走
smuggling,
个私的话，那家伙都是
the
成
bigger
翻倍啊，
brother said
投
that
资
we
1个
already
亿，
have so
是
much
吧？
money.
3个月以后就
And
变成2个亿，兄弟你干不
Even
干？
if we
你
put
不
it
干他
into
是傻
bank,
子
we
呢。
don't get any
这有
a
几
lot
个
of
发横
interest.
财的，是
So
老老实
if
实、本
we
本分
do
分做经营
smuggling,
的。
we can
他
triple
的
it
股东
in
的
a
有他
month.
的有一套道理，对不
And
对？那有
the
风险，所以
bigger brother
哎呀有
has his
风险
own
才有一
reason.
种快乐
The
嘛。
younger brother
你看
might
看
say
冲
that
浪的，
there
对
are
不对？
risks,
那个大
but
海浪
the
起来
bigger
的时候，
brother said
他在
that
上去划
the
水，
more risks,
就
the
踩到风头
more
浪尖上，这
gain.
是一种英雄，对不
And
对？所以
look
他
at
有
the
很多
people
蛊惑你
who
的方
are
法。结果呢，
surfing.
一旦要沉下去的话呢，就是粉身碎骨。
The brother has
叫
different
身无
ways
分
to
文。
persuade the younger brother,
还有很多
but
因此
in the
送命
end,
的啊，像
it's
来
just
分
the
享个
deathbed.
被朋友拳
Let's
打的
share a story,
落入歧途、粉身碎骨的故事，好不好？
share a sad story of bad
就
friends'
是有一个
influence.
小姑娘哈，
嗯，
对，
Judgement
年纪
says
轻
there
轻的
is a
然后
young
家里是穷
girl
嘛，然后就到
who
大城市来打
was
工，但
whose
是打工
family
也
is
挺
poor,
辛苦的哈。
and she went to the
又
city
辛苦又有
to
压力，就
find
是
a
说，哎，有
part-time
一个
job,
同事
and
朋友就是这样认识她的，
and
两
it's
个人小
yeah,
姐
she
妹
has to
嘛，
do
就
very
成
hard
朋友了。
work, and she
哎，
made a
成为
friend
朋友
with
之后
another
呢，
young
这个
lady.
朋友就是说，你
And
看
so
你也
her
这么累，
friend
咱们
said
那个
that
周末
you're
好不容易休息一
hardworking
天，
and
我
you're
带你
so
去卡拉
tired,
OK，咱们
and
唱唱歌哈，
this
也
is
认识
weekend.
认
Let's
识
go to
人，
the
也放
karaoke.
松一
Let's
下。
relax
两
and
个
meet
姑
some
娘就
people.
去卡拉
And
OK
so the two
到那儿
ladies
之后的
went
话，
to
完了
sing
这姑娘就
karaoke.
带她去，这姑娘就说：“哎呦，
The
你看这个是
the lady
张大
said that
哥
this
什么
is
什么的啊。”
Mr. Zhang,
完了，一圈
and
人，哎，
this
那姑
is
娘
who
还
and
挺有礼貌，
who.
就坐在那儿就跟
And
他们
so
混。
the
哎，
lady
结果
sat
这个
there,
张大哥就说。
and Mr.
你看
Zhang
这个东
said
西好
that
哈，我给你
this
介
is
绍
good.
哈，
Let me
就
tell you
哎你
about
也来
this
尝一
thing.
尝，
You
其
can
实就是
taste
吸
it,
毒，就毒品。
and
啊，
this
这
is
个小姑
actually
娘
drugs.
也是一个是
And this
不好
young
意思，
girl,
盛
she
情难
was
却，一个是
shy
也不太懂
because
事，那种
the
场合下她也逃也
Mr.
逃
Zhang
不了
was
哈。
very
哎，就这
enthusiastic,
样一来
and
一试，
she
哎，
didn't
还
know
真是
how
哈，
to
弄得自己
escape.
挺兴奋，挺
And
好。
when she
一来
tried
二去
it,
就真上瘾了。
it was very
上瘾了之后，那就
satisfying.
欲罢不能
And
啊！结
then
果本来挺好的
afterward,
小姑娘，
after a
19、
few
20个
times,
小
she
姑娘
got，到
最
addicted.
后就都
And
叫
she
什么
was
形
a
容枯
beautiful
槁，就是
girl
瘦的跟一
in
把骨
her
头一样
young.
的，眼窝深陷，都不成个人
And
样了，
in
跟
the
个鬼
end,
样似的
after
了。
the drug
那工作
addiction,
什么都
she
做
lost her weight and she lost her appearance and she lost her job. And at that time, this Mr. Zhang came back again. If you don't have any money, you can help me to do this and the things. You can help me to make deliveries. And the young lady was very naive and helped to make deliveries. And during one of the deliveries, she actually don't know what's in the delivery, but she was caught by the police, and it was a very large parcel of drug, and the weight exceeded the amount
很有希望的，从
that
农
will
村到大城市来，
lead
本
to
来
a
以为
death
想过上
sentence.
幸福的
And
生
so
活的，
this young
结
lady
果
was
这个
sentenced
朋
to
友把她
death
拉入到
sentence
地
and
狱
died
中哈，自
in
己都
very
不知
young.
不觉
And so
1-2
she
年就
was
离开了
cheated
人
by
世，
her
她
friend
死得这么惨，
into such
自
a
己都吸毒都受害
difficult
不说，还做了这么
situation.
大
Not
的罪
only
业
she
被
ended
抓
up
起来
being
判
a
命不保。
drug
对
addict,
呀，
and she
这
was
本
she
来就
made
是农
criminal
村到城市来
offenses.
打工的小姑娘，
This is
和她在
just
工厂
a
认识的
village
工友，
girl
哎，
一来
who
二去变
found
成
a
小姐
job
妹，对不
in
对？
the city
谁能会防到这
and
样的？
made
你们想不
friends
到这样。
with a
哎
coworker
那我在想起来，
who
我
knew
们小
that
时候
this
在
would
青海
end
的
up
时
this
候，
way.
就是有
Master
这么一
says
件
when
事
was
情啊，
when
一个
was
类似的
young
事情。
in Qinghai
一个叫
province,
小王
there
小
was
二
a
啊，王小二，
similar
这不是他
case.
原名哈。
There's
哎
someone
还有他同村里
let's
叫
call
李
him
鬼啊，
Mr. Wang.
对，本来叫李逵吧
And，
我们还叫李鬼哈，因为挺坏的。
There is
对，
another
这
young
王小二
man
那一天呢，
from the
闲来
same
无事，
from his
隔壁
village called
村呢，就是
李鬼。
赶集的那个村子。
And
赶
one
集就是
day
农
there
民
was
拿着各种各
a
样的东西在那
marketplace,
贩
a
卖。
farmer's market.
对，就是贩卖，它是轮换的，今天在这个村，明天
And
去
so
那
the
个村。
farmer's market would
这样，
rotate
贩卖。
between different
这
villages.
个王小二呢，闲来无事，说到那儿买点菜，
One
结
day
果
the market
刚
was
去到
at
那
the
个邻村
neighbor
的这个
village. And
村口
so
之后，就碰
Mr.
到他
Wang
们同
went
村
to
的
the
李鬼。
market and ran
啊，
into
李
Li
鬼
Gui.
牵头牛，
Li Gui
哎，
was
说王小二，来，
holding
快点，我买
a
了头牛，
cow
你
that
呢？
he
这
has
么着，我
just
因为还买
purchased.
别的哈，
Li Gui said
你
that,
先给我
hey,
牵回你们家去
Mr. Wang,
上
I
来哈，
have
为了
just
草料。
bought a
等
cow
那
and
个
I
我
need
回
to
村之
buy
后，
other
我到
things.
你们家再
Can
牵
you
牛，
bring
好吧？
this
记得，
cow with you
他
to
们
your
都
home?
一个村里的人嘛，
And
都是谁家有
after I
点事
come
都互
back
相帮
from
忙
the
啊。
market, I'll go to your
不
place
情
and
愿
pick
也
up
得
the
情愿，
cow.
那好吧。
And because
哎，
they're from
反
the
正也没有
same
啥，我
village,
就是
so
多跑一
Mr.
趟
Wang
腿，
saw that,
也
okay,
不
I
是太
can
远，1公
help
里的
him.
路而已。
It's just
他就把
1
牛牵回家去
kilometer.
喂些草料，
And
说他们
so he
牛别跑
brought
掉。
the cow home
结果到
and
下
locked
午，
the cow up and
这个
fed the
警
cow
察
some
来了，
grass. But in
啊，
the
有丢牛
afternoon,
的
the
人和
police
警察
came
一起
and
到村里找牛，
because
就有人
somebody
看见
lost their
王小二
cow.
牵头牛跑回自己
And
家去
there
了。
are witnesses
警
who
察一
said
进
that
他们家一看，哎，
Mr. Wang
人家
led the
那
cow
个牛
into
的失
his
主啊，原主人说
house.
这就是我家的牛。
And the person
你
who
看解开缰绳，我
reported
的走，他
the
能跟着我走，
loss said
是不是？
that
你看这是我的牛，
this
警
is
察是
their
你们
cow.
家牛，
And the
对啊，
cow even
马
followed
上把
that
王小二抓了。
um,
王小
that
二嚷
person
嚷说
around.
不是我偷的
And
牛啊，
Mr.
因为
Wang
我
said
没有
that
关系啊。
it's
他就
unfair.
讲了
I
他那个
didn't
实话。
steal the
上午他
cow.
去赶
And he
集，
told
是
the
吧？刚
police
到
what
那个村儿，
happens. He
就碰上
went
李鬼。
to
李
the
鬼呢买了
market
头牛，
and ran
让我
into
先
Mr.
牵回
Li.
来我
And
们家
Li Gui
养
said
的，
that he
等
bought
他
this
赶集
cow
回来之后
and
再来
wanted
牵。
me to
啊，
to
那
bring
警
it
察说
home.
抓
So
李鬼，抓了
and
李鬼
so
说，李
the
鬼说
police
什么
went
时候有这
after
事
to
儿啊？
Li Gui, but Li Gui
是，
denied
我
it
赶着集
and
更
said
热闹，
that
什么
it
谁
didn't
见过你
happen
啊？
anything. I was enjoying the market. I didn't see you at all.
我就不认账。
Li Gui denied
结果给
everything.
王小二判2年，
And so in the end, Mr. Wang was sentenced to 2 years
为什
for
么叫他李
stealing.
鬼呢？问人叫李逵呀。
And
哎，所以呢，哎，就我们家乡话就是偷牛啊，王小二是拔橛子的，拔牛橛子的，
对，
对吧？
偷牛拔橛子，
对，
就是帮忙着一块儿做坏事儿的。
这个牛呢，
so
牛不是有个缰绳吗？牛要不让走
there
的话，
is a
会有个木头桩子给它扎到
string
钉到
that
地
you
上去，牛就跑不了嘛。
there's
所
a
以
string
我
that
们
you
牵牛你来
tie
拔
the
橛
cow
子，结果人家呢
onto
把它给捉住了，就是
a
就是
a
做
wooden
无意的
stand.
配合。
And so
这坏朋友，
对，
in this case,
就
Mr.
是坏
Wang
人之
is the
中也有
one
人
that
是好像有情有义，
acted
但
like
是他行
a
的是歪道，
accomplice.
他就是无情无义，
对，
知道吗？
就是害人的。
很多时候你都没有想到，还有
Many times you can't
还
even
有
imagine these
很
type
多
of
当代
things.
的近10几年的人
And
哈，
even
经常
recently,
出差坐飞机的人，
Many
常遇
people
到的一件事情。
who flies on
比如说
airplanes.
我们从香港
For example, if we fly from Hong Kong,
温哥华，是吧？
from Hong Kong to
那在
Vancouver,
温哥华等候那个区域之中，就会有人，
in
哎，
the
兄弟，
waiting area
你也是回
in
温哥华的，说我也
Vancouver,
是。哦，那我也是温哥华的。你们家住哪
they
儿呢？
will
我跟你说，
say
街道
you
都
will
认识。
when you are
说我
waiting
实在
to
弄不了，
board
你
the
看我手里
plane,
有孩子，
people will talk
我
to
就
you
这一个
and
包，
say,
就
"Hey,
放几个
are
奶
you
瓶
going
里
to
有点奶粉
Vancouver?
而已，你
Oh,
帮我
I'm
拿
going
一
to
下，
Vancouver
真是不
too.
行。
Oh,
还有的
I'm
来找你
carrying
帮
my
忙的吧，
baby. Can
是
you
个
help
女
me to
的，
hold
一看弄得邋
my
邋遢，
bag
弄
so
个
I
孩
can
子真
feed
的
the
是
baby?"
不容易。
And
人会有一
there
种
are
恻隐
even
心，对不对？都
women
是帮弱
who
者嘛。
ask for your help.
说你看我
And
们家还有老
people
奶奶在这
are
儿， 说我还得牵着
pitiful
他，
and kind,
他还晕飞
and
机，
you
想着
want to
情有
help.
可原，好吧好吧，
Oh,
不就有一个包吗？
and
对，
you think that you're just
等
helping
上了
them
飞
to
机或者
carry
下
a
了飞机
bag,
之后，
but
这警察
when
逮住
you
说是毒品，
board the plane with
毒
that
品，
bag,
先把你
and
扣起
when
来再
you
说。当遇到这种事情的时候，没人说
you
是
leave the
他帮你
airplane
带
with
的。
that
但
bag
事
and
实
get
上呢，每个国家对
arrested
于
by
尤
the
其是海洛
police,
因
you
走私，对
realize
不
that
对？
there
它有
is
一个重量，
heroin
多少
in
重量
that
判多
bag.
大的刑，对不对？
You've actually
很多
helped
人
that
尤其是
that
判好
person
几
to
年，
smuggle
这种事儿
heroin,
多了。
and some
你
people
在
will
中
be
国，你说
sentenced
达
to
到
many
多少
years
重量之
in
后就枪
prison.
毙，对不对？
And in
多少人就这么
in
送了命。
China, you can even be
解释不清
sentenced
楚，你得找人找不着
to
了。
to life to
下
death.
辈子找他来报了，就是这样冤冤相报了。
那就是要这辈多念经，多做功德，不要
Uli
遇到这
says,
些
then
坏
we
朋
have
友
to
啊
chant
真的是
and read
除了我
sutras
们也要
so that
防
we
范
don't
哈，我
encounter
们自己
these
有这
bad
些知
friends.
识，要有一个你自
Other
己
than
精
being
神上，你不
aware,
要
we
轻
have
易去
to
相信一个
have
人的
this
说的
knowledge.
话，
We
还
have
有
to be
表面的可
aware that
怜
don't
等等，你要
easily
有一种防范心。
对，
don't
那么第二个
easily
呢，多做功德，
believe in
别
other
碰上这
people's
种。
words. And so, and secondly, you have to make merits so that you
咱
don't
别
encounter
光
these
说
bad
相信护法神
influences.
这个概念啊
And
你比如说今天那个诈骗电话，是吧？
there are
我
many
是很少
spam
接到诈
calls
骗电话的。最近到
in
了
these
温哥华
days.，
差不多一个礼拜
And
里是有一天被骚扰，20个电话打进来，
Every
被那
week,
号码
I
往里
would
打，
have a
你都没法
every
去锁定，
once a while
对
I
不
would
对？其实都从
receive
国外打过来
tens
的，
of
打过来就冒充
spam
这么的，
calls,
比如
and
说
they
是政府
will
部
say
门
that
呐，
they are from
什么
the government
邮局呀、
department
快递公司
or
呀，
the
等等的，
mail
对，还在网络上用我们的名字贴着照片，用我们这个账号，就是诈骗人的，是吧？
the post
说你赶
station,
快拨
or
一点
then
钱
you
给我，
can
师傅等着用，或者我这等着修道场
they
用，
will
都
say
不是
that
我。 啊，都是发
they
信息，
sometimes
还有
some
更
people
傻的
even
骗子就
use
直接
my
打英
name
文，
that
我哪会那么多英文呢？我还给你发英文呢，
but I
对不对？
some people
我说所有网
even
友
use
真找我
English,
有
but I
急事
don't
儿，我
even
和你直
use
接
I
的
don't even
通电话，
speak
而且
English.
我们用视
If
频，
you
网络视
have
频好不
some
好？你看到我人，再听到我的
if you
声音，
really
这
need
基本
to
上假
talk
不
to
了
me,
吧？
we
对不
can
对？要
talk
这样子。
and
还有
even
说，
video
哎，
call.
有一次和师傅通电话，师傅戴着个面罩，
And
是
some
师
people
傅
say that
为了让
once
你
I
看清，
had
所以有
a
面罩就
video
再还让
call,
你看到，对不对？
I
所以
was
这
wearing
都
a
是骗
mask.
子。
That is not
啊
true.
所以这个骗子骗人的
Because
时候
if I
啊，
want to
他争
convince
取
you
用
it
他的
is
方法
where
让你
you
相
are
信，
talking to me, then I
他
have
不
to
是
take
骗子，
off my
他
mask,
是
right?
真的啊。
But
但是目的
these
最终都是
cheaters,
钱嘛。
these comments
对
will，
所以大家呢，
try
我
to
提醒大
convince
家
you
哈，
for your
别
money.
贪便宜。
So I want to
很
remind
多人上
everyone,
当是
don't be
贪便
greedy.
宜，是吧？比如说这个女的说你帮我
Many
带，
people
带去了之
are
后给你
calm
2000块
because
钱，
they are greedy.
说
Some
本来不
people
带，
might
我可
say
怜他，
that
但
if you
是
help
我
me
也
to
不可
carry
怜你。
this bag,
但是你说给2000块钱，说
then I
这可
will
以。
give you $2,000. Some people are greedy for that
还说
money
你
and
看看
will
我这
carry
一个
the
玉
bag
石的
for
项
them.
链，说这给你吧
And。some people
是，
say
我也不让
that
你白拿，好不好？
if you carry
你
my
贪这
bag,
个
I'll
便宜就
give
不
you
行。
this jade necklace.
说给女的说，
If
你
you're
看
greedy for
我
it,
提奶
then
粉的这个包包，这是名牌吧？
then
这
you
个
will
包包
fall
值
for
好
it.
几千美金，对不对？提到
Some
了之后，
comment might say
兄弟，
that
这个包就是你的，回
this
家给太
bag
太背，你看
of
多贵。
milk
是不是啊？不让你
powder.
白拿
This
呀。
is a bag of
你
milk
说这个
powder,
包是
and the
值钱，你
bag
看是
is
真
of
真
a very
真
good
品真
brand,
货，好吧？
and
就
it's
上当了。
genuine.
别
If
贪
you
便
help
宜，
me to carry
是
this
吧？你也
bag,
不上当，尤
you
其是
can
不
have
贪
this
便宜
bag
的心
later.
态，是就不容易上当。
If you are not
至少避
greedy,
免了
then
很
you
多上
wouldn't
当的
fall
机
for
会
the
啊。
con.
所以不要交到这个坏朋友。
And so
所以大家也本身
we want to
除了
try
说
to
做功德，
avoid making
用
friends with
佛
these
菩萨护
with
法
bad
神帮着
people.
我们防范之
And
外呢，
also we
我
want
们自
also
己
want
也
to
长一
make
点心眼，
merits so
不要
that
谁说什么你
Buddhas
都
and
信
protectors
啊
will help
尤
us
其是
to
别贪
stay
贪
away
便宜
from
的
them.
心，
And we
这
also
是最
need
重
to
要的。
be aware of our own hearts. Don't be greedy.
我再插播几个啊，真的不。
Judgement wants to share a few more. more.
很关心自己这个事儿。
Many people,
梅薇网友他说，
Mei
自
Wei
己的外公
says,
去世了哈，
my
然后托梦
grandpa
给自己
passed
说住了
away,
2间房，可
and
是有一间房的东西都是
he
装
sent
满的，
a,
只能在另外
he
一间
showed
房
up
里边
in the
活动，
dream
而且
and
呢
said
还
that
吃雨伞和
I
水果，
have
啊
2 rooms.
还很
I'm
想念
living
家
in a
人。
place with 2
这
rooms.
是外公
One
刚
of
刚
the
去世不久
room
刚
is
托梦回
filled
来的。
with
所以师姐问
things,
师傅说，师傅
and
你还是要给
I
外公
need
多做一点
some
功德。
umbrellas
需要做
and
功德。
something else.
当时有需
And
要
the
的这
question
种
is, does
现
he
象一
needs to
出
make
现的
more
时候，
merits?
就是需要你
Master
帮
says,
助，
yes,
哪是要那
they
个吃
do.
的，
They're
而是
not
功德，
asking for umbrellas
知道
and
吗？
food. They're
他
asking for
将面临的
merits.
喝缸水、喝桶水的这个惩罚呀。
Your
所以需要
relative
功
is
德的
facing the
帮助。
punishment of
对，
师傅啊，
eating
也
or
知道了
drinking
啊。
molten
还有一位金赞网友他说，梦
iron,
见已经
and that's
去
why
世的
they need
父
your
亲
help.
穿
Another
着
person
红
said
色
that
的
I
大长
dreamed
袍，
of
在
my
高高的
father who
天空
has who has deceased, wearing red robes, and standing high in the sky. What does it mean?
不一定。
Master says,
红
what
色
does
有
red
两个内
mean?
容哈。
Red has two
那你自己
different
说红色有
meanings.
啥意思？
What does red mean?
要么是火，要么是
It's
血。
either
所以
fire or
多做
blood.
功德。
So make more merits.
对，还有个网友特别纠结，问了好
Another
几遍。
person
他
has
说呢，
a
对
question
往
they
生的
asked
亲
quite a
人呢
few
是
times.
点7天灯，一
Should
天
we
点7
light,
盏，还是点1盏灯点49天？
Should we light 7-day
哦
lights,
大
7
原则
lights
是
for
多
7
花钱
days,
多点，
or
你
light
别那么
one
纠
light
结
for
是是不是一天
49
7点
days?
7天1盏之类的。
Don't
功德大，
那不
Master
废话
says
嘛，多花点钱多点点灯，就是这意思，你还
Spend
不明
more
白？
money to light
就是
candles.
这意思。
You
就
can
咱们
even
要
light.
说吧，就
Juju
显得你在
says you
推
can
销什么东
even
西。
light
你在哪个庙
both
点都可以
together.
凡是
Master
佛庙
says
都能
that
给你
you
度
can
化，
light
对
a
不对？
candle
但
at
是
any
就是说你要
monastery,
明白
any
就是这么个
temple.
道理，我们不
And
给
you
你算
just
那个
have
数
to
就行。
understand what the
我跟你说的
principle
是概
is. We
念
don't
问题。
have to calculate the mass.
还有一个师姐问，她说我做梦梦见往生的
Another
爸爸
person
从
said,
我的钱包
I
里拿了200块
dreamed
钱，
of
哎
my
呦，他需要钱
deceased
呢。
father who
那
took
赶快烧纸钱给他。
$200 from my
烧纸钱会
wallet.
收到的。
Master
烧纸钱
says,
啊，
oh, he
通
needs
常要
money.
写上
Burn
在纸
some
钱上写上爸爸的名
paper
字，
money
不是
for
每一
him
张哈，
and
尤其是包
write
装那一
your
上头要写上，
father's
写
name
上爸爸
on the wrapping of the
要
money.
念的。
And when you're burning that money,
对
you have to
尤
say,
其在网上你
Juju
拿
says,
那个
yes, you
画
have to
纸
say,
筒哈，就
Father,
避免引起火灾哈。
so and
因为
so,
画纸筒
here's
它
the
是通气
money.
的哈，上面有盖子，
And there
那
are
纸灰不要乱飞哈。
and there
这个我们
are
防火安全很重要。
dedicated
还有在网上点的时候哈，我有
pots
很多次每
for
年都是给
burning
父母亲
these
要点这些纸的时
things,
候，
and they
我是做
have
不到每年的，就是光
openings
为大
to
家在做的。
release
还
to
有时候
have
有空做的时候啊，烧纸
oxygen
的
in
时候
it,
会有很多
and there is
现
a
象在里
lid
头产生，
where
知道吗？
you prevent
对，
the
其实
smoke
就
from
能感
going
觉到有
everywhere.
很多父母给你传这个
And
讯息
whenever
啊，
we are
这个特别
burning
重要。
these
但是提醒大家一
offerings
定要
to
有一
our
种啊能帮助
relatives,
去
there are
世的亲
many
人哈能够解脱
manifestations
啊。
that shows
刚才
up.
说的这几个梦都不吉祥哈，所以一
And
定要
the
做功
dreams
德。
that we talked about are not very auspicious.
师
They
傅，那
all
我再来
need
提一个
the
问题
living
啊，就
person
是
to
在
do more
第
merits.
7品的这个佛经中也是讲到
Uli
为即
says
将往生的这个
during
亲
this
人，
chapter, it
需
says
要的时
that
候，我们可以来为他念诵这个地藏经。
when it's
那但
needed,
是
we can
念
help
诵
them
的
to
时候一定要
recite
大声的念
the
诵，一定要让
Earth Store
他根
Bodhisattva
本上要
Sutra,
能够听
but
得
we
见、听
have
得清楚
to
哈。
recite very
佛经
loudly
中
so
原
that
话
they
是
can
用到
hear
叫
it
文在
fundamentally.
本识，就是让他根
The
本的那个
sutra
意识
says
叫神
能够听
识
到。，
他的神识一定要听到。
对对对，
嗯
就是想
To
请师
hear
傅能不
to
能
hear it
再
in the
给我们讲一讲
fundamental
这个文在本识
consciousness.
到底是什么
Master,
样
could
的一
you
种
talk
状态
more about
对
this fundamental
前面我们已
consciousness?
经
What
也
does it
讲到一
mean?
点了哈，就是
Master
人
says
将
we've
命终
already
的时候
talked
啊，
about it
就是
before.
有一部分人，
When
我不敢说全部
You
的，
when
有
some
一
people
部分人
are
实际上
near
他
death,
所听到、
not
看
all
到、
person,
感
but
觉到的，
some
已
people
经不是他的病床前的
they
人类
don't
的这些人了，
see,
而
hear,
是和
or
他交流的
sense
通常是他
the
的
human beings
已经
that are
往生的
around
亲人。
his death, around his bed, but they will
或者
sense
一个是就
the
是
relatives who has passed
或者还有
away.
可能是不是跟他有这种因缘缘分的这些
Uli says, or maybe he will sense the
对，
different
这
types
是
of
他
beings
所
who has a
感应到
karmic
的，就是
connection
说
to him.
要去世的
Master
人，
says
在
the dying
将
person
死
will
之时
sense,
或者是刚刚死这个时候，
or
其
when
实
they
他的
have
那个
just
神
died,
识
their
也可以成为他的
consciousness,
元神。我
their
们华人的一个概念
fundamental
元神，
consciousness
元神是你的生命中的那
that
个灵魂
that
的本体，
is
灵魂的
also
本
your
体，
soul.
这样大家就懂了哈。
Maybe
所以
that's
你要说
easier
给
to
那个灵
understand
魂的
this
本
way.
体听，
So you have
但是
to
为什么要大
say,
声说呢？
recite
因为
loudly
人在
to
命中的时
so
候
that
啊
the，soul can
就是
hear
正
it.
常死
Why
亡
do
这
you
个
have to say
命
it
中这个
loudly?
有交
Because
代
when
后事等等
someone
这个
is
命中的时
near
候，
death,
常常是他听到
very
看到的
often
不是人
what
间
they
的事儿，
see and what they
他
hear
看到的是跨
are
两界的，
those
有的很多时候是
sounds
看到是阴
and
间的事
sights
儿，
from
他
hell,
看到的是鬼魂
they will see ghosts or the relatives and relatives who have already passed away, and they will talk to him. And some people will say that, oh, my dad doesn't have a lot of days. He's mumbling unconsciously, but he's actually talking to the relatives who has already passed away.
一个是自己的这个祖宗亡灵，
He can
还有
see his
鬼魂
ancestors
其他的鬼魂
or ghosts,
来找他算
other
账的
ghosts who
索
came
命的
for
修理他的
for
责
him
怪
to
他的
pay debt,
气他的
to
整
make
他
him
的，还有
angry,
妖魔
to torture him,
都可能会有。
or monstrous creatures. It
还
could
有
be
的时候呢
anything.
会出现什么呢？
And sometimes
他会像放电影一样，
it would be
在
like
他的大脑之中哈，
his
放他的
brain would
一
be
生的
like
电影。
playing a movie of
最后
his
呢，
entire
会有
life.
他的一生经历的几个他认为特别重要的点，
And
会停在
some
他的
very
意识之
critical
中，
points will
让
remain
他
in
出
his
现愤怒和感
in
动和
his
情绪。
mind and make
所以
him
说，哎，他回
emotional,
到比如说
be it
他6岁的时
angry
候，妈妈抱
or
着他一起
touched.
逃荒要饭的时候的感人场面。
Say that when he was 6
这个
years
时候亡
old,
者
his
哗一
mother
下就突
carried
然
him
哭了。
and begged
哎
for
那守
food.
到病床
At
的人
this
不知道咋回
moment,
事，你
the
哭啥
dying
呀？我
person
们没
might
有
suddenly
对
burst
你不
into
好，是吧？
tears,
就
and
他
people
看到的
around
世界
him
不
might
是我
not
们看到的世
understand.
界。
Why are you
啊，
crying? We're
所
very
以
nice
这
to
个时候
you.
这个神师
But the world
经
that
常
he
会
sees
有一
is
阵
not
子
the
就是
world
耳朵
we see
嗡嗡
anymore.
像一
And
直有
this
一种机器在旁边震动，
soul,
嗡嗡嗡的声音，他听
his
不见
ear
人在
will
跟
be
他说话。
vibrating, and he couldn't hear
或
what
者
the
听到的
human
是
beings are
地狱群
saying,
恶鬼在受惩
or
罚
what
的那
he
个惨叫
say,
的声音，
or
啊，
what
听
they
见他就
hear
哇
are
乱
the
叫，吓得是，
screamings from
是这样的，
from
火来了，
hell.
烧我了，
And
地
he
狱
might
之火。
scream
还有那个恶
wisdom
鬼，
that the fire
一
is
伸手
coming to
哗，一
burn
股火
him,
就来了，啊，吓得他那样子，
and he might be
在吓他。那
frightened
这
by
种就
the
麻烦，
ghosts.
走的时候去不了好
And
地，
at that time,
因为
if
不安
this
全。
happens, this is not
紧张。
good, because
关
it's
键你
not
要猜想
auspicious,
谁
it's
让他
not
紧张。
peaceful, he's very nervous. What is frightening
所
him?
以为什么在很多人在死的时候，他信佛
So
的时候，
why is
他
it
有了这个信仰，是吧？
why
我
is
就
it that
我
people
不管
who
别的
are
了，我就
religious,
玩
who
命的
have a
往死里念
belief,
佛。
when they
我
are
就是要
about
恭
to
敬念
die,
佛。
they will sincerely
在新
chant
加坡我
Buddha's
们有个道
name?
友哈，他临去
In
世的时候，
Singapore, there was
他
a
都不行了，
practitioner
他就
when
跪在
he
床
was
前念。
about to die.
他知道
He
他是
was
癌
at
症
the
晚期，
very
对不对？
end
没人救，
of
他也知道最后一刻，
his
医生告诉
cancer,
他扩散到
and
已经，他
nobody
肯定
can
很
save
快就
him.
死。
And the
他
cancer
用了
has
最大的力气让家人给他扶起来，跪
migrated
式，
so much
帮
that
他扶着，
there's
帮垫
no
枕头，保持
cure.
跪式
And
念。
he asked
其实他
his
使劲发
family
声
to
发不
help
出
him
来，
to kneel
但是他
beside
的
the bed,
用意念在念
and
念
he
念，
used
最后微
he
笑的微笑
couldn't
的微笑，
loudly chant the names
哦，整
anymore,
个表情
and he
就是
just
红
used
光满
his
面，
consciousness
都
to
全
chant.
家人都感觉
And
那个
in
屋
the
里那个
end,
香味儿啊，那个檀香味儿。
his face was very fair
这个时候
and
大家都突
red
然都
and
吓
very
吓到
beautiful,
了，
and there
原来
was
信
a
不同的教的，还啥
beautiful
都不信的，吓得都跪在那个病房，
in the room,
就
in
吓
the
坏了。
hospital
因为
room.
那个香味儿啊，
And
呼呼一阵一阵的，
the
甚
people
至
that
还有人
was
听到
in
那种法
the
铃的声音
room,
啊，
they
念经的
believe
声
in
音都来
different
了。
religions, and they
哇，
were all
他
amazed.
这个
And some
去世
people
的这位
even
道友
heard
哈，就是我
the
们一位弟
beautiful
子，
sound
就
of
是
dharma
感动了，热
bells.
泪盈眶，热泪盈眶，
And
最后
our
放弃了，
disciple was
躺下。
the
哦，好
dying
安详。
disciple,
所
the
以他
dying
去世之后，他
practitioner
的脸
was
哈，就像幸福的
sudden
睡着
would
了，
collapse
心脏是
and
热的，
smiling
头顶是热的，
as if
小
he
心
just
是热
fall
的。
into a
一
sleep.
般刚死了之后，整个
And his head,
对
his hands, his
就不
feet
知像
were
打
very
散子似的，就是
warm.
那个人都是僵化
And
硬硬的，
some people, when they
像
die, they are
一个
very stiff
像个
and
僵尸一
cold,
样的硬的。
like a zombie.
他那儿得的那个
But
佛菩萨接引之后呢，
Because he
是
was
柔软的，他
received
不
by the
恐惧啊，
Buddha and
他很
Bodhisattva,
幸
his
福呀，
body was very
他没
soft.
受惩罚
He
呀，
was
没
very
受恐吓呀，
happy. He
所
was
以
not
好自在的
tortured
感
or
觉，就这样
frightened.
安详的晚上。
He felt so easeful. And he
他之前就是个生意
died
人，
easefully. In his life, he was a
他拜
businessman.
我为师，他也没休几天，就
He-
参加了一个班练了7
He
天，
he joined my
身体
class
好起来就是
only
忙
for
忙忙有
7
忙有
days.，
但他
And
来的时
when
候
he
已
got
经是癌
better,
症
he
晚期，
would go
还
back
忙
to
了
his
好几年
business.
，4、5年。
And even
忙完
when
了之
he
后，有一
first
天觉
joined
得身体不舒服，一
our
检查说，医
class,
生说
he was
你还忙这么
already
多年，
at the end days
他
of
的医
his
生都认识了，都是当地
of the
人。
cancer.
哎，你到
But
生
he
命最后一刻，
survived for
你还
several
找
more
回医院来了，
years.
全身全部
And at the end of his stay, he went back to the hospital again, but he doesn't have any pain. And at the last moment, he sincerely and determined, and he chanted with determination. His family used the money that he earned to make a lot of offerings and merits and virtues. If the family didn't understand previously, didn't understand that Buddhas exist, but when they saw what happened in the hospital room, they started to believe. Her sister was an accountant, and her sister said that I will work less so that I can have more time to practice, to work energy bagua, to chant, so that have a better spiritual pursuit. Judgement wants to share another story. Shiny says, my father passed away this year, and because I learned from Grandmaster, I have been making merits in my father's behalf. However, my older brother doesn't believe it, and he didn't do anything diligently. And after my father's death, I dreamed of my father smiling. However, my older brother dreamed of my father that being very sad and saying that he doesn't have enough money. What does it mean? Master says it means that the father is unsatisfied of what the brother is doing. The father knows very well who did what, and under these circumstances, if the brother doesn't make a dedication of merits and offerings, his future will be troublesome. And so the father's satisfaction for the siblings are different.
我们给大家讲这部经啊，就是让大家懂得这个真实的事情是这样的。
Master says we explain the sutra to you so that you understand what the truth is. Some people always write to me and say that nothing is smooth for me. My career is not smooth. My marriage is not smooth. But when I teach you, you have to do it. You have to do the good deeds. You cannot.
对不对？你做那种最庸俗的事情。
You cannot still do things like a mundane being, then you cannot be liberated. You have to make a lot of merits and virtues so that you can become wealthy and fortunate, especially being filial to your parents. This is one of the root for fortune and wealth. We're very grateful, Master. We really have to make merits for our parents, especially if your parents have passed away. If they don't curse you, but they are angry at you, will you have a good life? If your parents are angry at you, there might be a sudden undesired accident. And Judgement says that when we learn Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra, we are learning filial piety because for many lives, he was very filial to his parents. There's another question from Pammy. Pammy says, if someone's behavior creates obstacles or is destructive to other people's self-cultivation, would this person fall into the hell of incessant suffering? Master says it might not definitely be the hell of incessant suffering, but he will definitely fall into the hell. Previously, we talked about what type of people will fall into hell. And people who harm people, who interferes with other people's self-cultivation will definitely fall into hell. And many people are asking that I have done so many bad deeds previously. As long as I sincerely make offerings and chant Earth Store Bodhisattva's name, can I eliminate all the karmic effects of such wrongdoings? Master says, yes, you can. Start with chanting and then make offerings. Painting Buddha's image or sculpting Buddha's figure or building the Buddha's body, building temples, building monasteries. These are all making merits and virtues. Another question says Chen Pengnang, Master, when we are in the meditation center, in case if we unintentionally committed offenses, bound for the hell of incessant suffering, what should we do? It's very frightening. Master says you have to repent and make offerings and Some people, after they work as a center for a while, they become arrogant and greedy.
本来是相信师父的，结果也开始怠慢。
You used
信
to
佛的
believe
也
in
开始傲
Master
慢，是吧？
and you
当
used
你
to
这些
believe
心
in
起来的
Buddha,
时候，
but then
其实
you
这都是
become
恶行。
arrogant. When
这是小
these
人的
mind
行为。 这小人的心
arises,
产生的时
these
候，
are
就是带
minds
恶业
of
那一定是往下
evil
走的。
karma, and
对
they will
所以在这里你
bring you
犯了这个
to
错，
falling
其实也
into
不
the
会纵
lower
容你的，
realms,
一样下
and
无间地狱。
you will still fall into the hell of
所以
incessant
快的
sufferings.
认识到自己的错误，
Judgement
快
says, so
点
we
来
have
忏
to
悔，
realize
还
our
要快点来做
wrongdoings
更大的功德来弥补自己
faster
的
and
过失啊！
repent
千万不
faster
要
and
等
make
待啊，真的
more
是
merits
早
and
日觉
virtues
醒才
to
能早日
repay
解
for
脱，
our
真的是
wrongdoings.
太
The
可怕了。
earlier
既然
we
你都觉
awaken,
得
the
恐怖
earlier
了，
we
那就
can
一刻都
liberate.
不要去
If
等
you
待。
already feel frightening, then don't wait any longer.
而且师傅分享一个这个
Judgement
网
wants
友
to
洪
share
贡
something
他的
from
这
Hong
个
Kong.
分享哈，他说之前呢刚接触地藏经，
Previously, when we just started about Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra, my grandmother passed away, and as I recited the sutra for 7 times, I dreamed of my grandmother rising up, and my grandma was in the form of like a 7-year-old with 2 pigtails, and I have never seen my grandmother like this, but I know that it's my grandmother. And my grandmother said that his wrongdoings have been lightened, his offenses have been lightened. And thank you, Master, and thank you, Earth Store Bodhisattva. So your Master says, your grandmother said it herself, her offenses have been lightened, and because it's lightened, she is rising up, but we don't know when she will stop. And Hong Kong is probably a good cultivator too. And even in the sutra, it says that if you are if you can read sutras, then there will not be any disaster or calamity in 1,000 kilometers around you. And but some people say that such and such disaster happened. Why? Because it is one piece of merit compared to very large karma. But those who are fortunate and who have merits will not be severely affected by the disaster. They might be washed onto a tree. They might be able to grab a tire and float on it. I think it was written in the sutra that monk Xuanzhuang, when he was young, he encountered something like this. He was floating in the river in a large basin, and there were a lot of goose that came and protected the basin so that he was safe until he was rescued. And so at these critical times, the disasters will show itself so that everyone can be warned and learn the lesson. But the fortunate ones will not be severely affected. And even people who have a lot of merits and fortune, if they fall into a river, they can be rescued by turtles. If you fall into the river, you might drown for any reasons. If you are caught by the flowing underwater, or get stuck because of the underwater grass. But some people with merits and fortunes, even if they want to commit suicide by jumping into the river, there will be holy ones and holy beings that will save you. So Wuli says we always have to remember to keep a kind mind and do virtuous deeds. Master says if you if you give a poisonous drink to a virtuous person, when they drink it, they will feel that, oh, this is just some cola. And even if you send it to the hospital, they wouldn't find any poison. If you don't have a lot of merits, then you might always be ill. And even after you drink some poison, you say that it's good coffee. If you don't, Judgement says, if you don't have merits, even if you drink some real cola, and you will be poisoned. Master says this is the difference of merits. If you have the merit, you can eat rocks, and the rocks will become water. So what is merits? They are positive energies. With these merits, even if you go into a hell with a lot of fire, the fire will be put out right in front of you. There's no fire around you. You can believe it or not. I have spent a lot of time in southern China, and it's very hot. And there, when I'm teaching Dharma, there are a lot of lights focused on me. And when people ask me, am I hot? I don't feel hot at all. When I first arrived in Guangzhou, it was in August, right? August 3rd. When I slept, I had to put on a blanket. I didn't feel hot. Or maybe it was my responsibility was very strong, so I didn't feel I don't feel hot. And it's for Guangzhou, for Cantonese people, because it's very hot, they cannot sleep and they eat a late night meal. And I didn't feel hot, so I slept at the right time. And even northern people ask me, why don't you feel hot? Why would I say it's hot when I don't feel hot? It's very miraculous. Sometimes, even if I'm sweating and my clothing is wet, people ask me, do you feel hot? I don't feel hot at all. Bodhi says, after hearing Master explaining this chapter, I am very touched and I'm very excited. So I really understand that in the end of this chapter, it says, after these words are spoken, all the ghosts and spirits who were in Tremya heaven have realized immeasurable Bodhicitta. And I have realized Bodhicitta too, that I want to tell Earth Store Bodhisattvas, Vows and Acts, and tell all these principles to everyone so that nobody will fall into hell. Master says, your understanding is very good, and I hope that everyone who has listened to this session will realize their Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is a heart to benefit other peoples. A selfish heart is to benefit yourself only, but Bodhicitta is one that is about altruism and benefit everyone else. And so I hope that everyone will attain this compassionate Bodhicitta that benefits everyone, and also a heart that is sincerely respectful to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, so that we can be liberated from sufferings and attain happiness. That's all for today. It has already been 3 hours. Today is Wednesday. Our next live stream will be in Vancouver. It will be next Saturday, this Saturday, on August 28th at 6 p.m. And in Asia, Taipei time, it will be Sunday, August 29th at 9 a.m. And generally, it will still be about learning the Earth Store Bodhisattva Sutra. I wish everyone auspiciousness and happiness. May you have infinite Dharma joy. May you be filled with wisdom. May you live a long life. Let's meet again next time. Everyone is welcome to make an offering in front of the Buddha.
当我与您相遇，小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇，小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。我智慧